What's going on, and welcome to the Stick Drift Podcast, a podcast for all things cars, racing games, motorsports, and more. And welcome to the Stick Drift Podcast bonus episode of this week, with a guest episode. I forget which number of guest episode we're on, but brought to the Stick Drift Podcast, the podcast for all things car culture, racing games, and motorsports, is the man behind BlackPanthaa's The Nobeds, I believe, and
that's me.
Yes, I believe a stint in content creation as well. But I'll let you introduce yourself, mostly, Mr. Cory Johnston. You're gonna have to pronounce it.
Cory Johnston. Okay, I've had that a couple of times. Don't worry. As long as people can pronounce the T, that's all I need.
Gotcha.
Okay, so for who I am, I'm Cory Johnston. Sometimes you'll see me on Twitter as Spikies or Spike, whatever. Sometimes Quidizzle. But I am the guy behind the Nobeds. So everything you see on Twitter from the Nobeds account, whether that be news articles, whether that just be random shit posts, that stuff, that's all me. That's not Matthew. That's me. And yeah, I do a bit of content creation on that kind of stuff. Obviously, a lot of things with Theo, Black Panther, and yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, so I know. Well, to be fair, what I should be saying is I don't really know. I'm not too well versed on the mass of that is the Nobeds, right? So I suppose you could begin with just leading through how that whole system runs and how it came about, I suppose.
Right. Yeah. Right. What's the best way to say it? So we kind of started that back around when GTA Online kind of started. Like, we've always had a big group of friends of ours. Just a bunch of us from Australia / New Zealand, and a bunch of us from the UK. Obviously, all friends of Theo's and stuff. I don't know how it really came about, but we just sort of called ourselves the Nobeds, right? Yeah. And so it's kind of like our sort of thing. Whenever we do GTA videos, it would be the Nobeds. Same with Need for Speed stuff, it would be the Nobeds and stuff, right? But for the content creation that I do, that didn't technically start till, I believe it was 2017.
Yeah.
I was very influenced at the time by AR12. His old writer, Alan. So Alan is a really good friend of mine. He did a lot of the content, like all of the articles and stuff on there. And I've been very passionate for writing. I've been very passionate for that kind of side of content creation. So he was a big influence for me. And Theo was like, well, let's start up a website. Let's start the Nobeds, right? And I think we started that, if I remember correctly, around the time Payback was revealed at that infamous E3 with Jesse Wellens, right?
Payback's the one. Is that the one with the Regera chase? Yeah,
that's the one. Yeah.
I remember that one being revealed way back when. Yeah.
Yeah. So the infamous reveal with Jesse Wellens out on screen and stuff like that. That was around the time we launched our website, and it's kind of weird to imagine we've been doing it I've been doing it for the last 6 years.
Yeah. Wow.
It's kind of weird to imagine how time has flown over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. God,
but yeah. So I think that's the best way to say it, really. Like, I've been sort of content creating more written stuff for the last couple of years. I feel like the last 2 years I haven't really done it as much, especially this year, just because obviously life's been quite busy and stuff, but I'm still very active and stuff. Yeah. I'm obviously very looking forward to games like Crew Motorfest, as we both know.
Absolutely.
And, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, I believe it's called, and, Forza, any kind of racing game coming out, I'm always excited for, and I'm always looking forward to making content on, so.
Yeah. I mean, it was rather convenient, a bit of a perfect alignment then, that you were into writing already, and then obviously the Nobeds comes about as a sort of I suppose it's like a more, how do I describe it? It's like a more, I don't know what the word for it is. It's like not smaller, but like a journalist, a racing game journalism, etc.
Yeah.
But like a more to the people. I don't know the word for it. personable.
I get what you mean, right? Like,
yeah,
like focused and stuff on.
yeah,
So
yeah,
our old mantra that you can kind of see on the Twitter account from the Nobeds is like non-rubbish racing game news, right? Because
yeah,
I wanted to post stuff that feel people would care about, right?
yeah.
Like, I don't think people care about saying, okay, cool, look, the latest GTA Online update has got this thing and this like this kind of update, right?
They've
It's like
committed
you want
this
to
copyright infringement today. Yay!
yeah, like you want to hear about the stuff that matters, right? And I feel like
Yeah,
that's one thing I've always tried to do
yeah,
with the content I made on the Nobeds was just like I wanted to make stuff where you felt interested to read, right? I mean,
yeah,
obviously, some of it, the biggest ones that I would always do is like whenever there was rumors and stuff, right? Because everyone wants to hear those.
yeah,
But then obviously you have to try and make sure, like, you're not just clickbaiting, going, "Oh
yeah.
wow, every single thing," right? You want to post stuff that you care about. And I've got a couple opinion pieces and stuff that I'm working on at the moment that
Oh,
trying to get me back into it, trying to get me to do more stuff on like what I want to see the future of Need for Speed 2024
yeah.
or whatever stuff, like, you know, what I'd like to see long term from the crew, or, you know, things like that, things from perspectives like us,
Yeah.
where it's like, you know, we give our opinion, we give us kind of review on things, because it's like people would come to us to trust, like they trust that we like this kind of stuff, right? You don't want to go to IGN and just hear, okay, cool.
And that was the
We
one I was
want
gonna bring up, is that it doesn't
yeah,
feel like it's written by racing game people. It doesn't feel like
yeah,
it's written by the people in the industry. It's just
yeah, yeah.
it's the journalism done by the complete outside sort of mainstream perspective. Done. That's it. Nothing more nuanced than that. And
Yeah.
IGN was the one I was gonna bring up. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, because that's the thing. Like, I really like that guy Luke Riley
Yeah.
at IGN, because he does some good reviews and stuff sometimes, right?
Mm.
But then it's like, you know, you kind of want to go to racing game people for racing game opinions, right? You
Yeah.
don't want to go to, let's say, for example, Westy or someone from COD or
Yeah.
Battlefield to hear about Need for Speed, right?
Yeah.
Sure, sometimes their opinions are valid, but it's like when people go, "Oh, I wish," like the amount of times we see people compare the Crew Motorfest to Forza, and just like, just can you stop with these stupid comparisons, right? Just because one game has a festival and this game has a festival does not mean that that is Forza. It's like,
I mean,
wow, it's an
upset,
open world
right?
game.
Like, yeah, it's literally the main things is essentially just festival, smaller map, and rewind, and that's where the
Yeah,
similarities end. It really,
yeah, exactly, right?
mm.
But oh well, this one's got hundreds of cars too, so it must be Forza. It's like, no.
I mean, that's been an issue in the industry for a hot minute now, isn't it? That it's new racing game gets revealed.
And it's
Journalist, is this the new
just compared
Forza?
to Forza.
Yeah.
I can't stand it, man.
It's like electric cars and Tesla. Like if
Yeah.
anyone even farts and it sounds like the word electric, journalists are going, is
Oh, the
this
new
company
Tesla.
making the new Tesla? Is this the Tesla killer? It's impeccably funny.
Mm.
Because
Oh man.
I suppose it's I mean, I imagine it's click driving, right? It's you want to keep it safe. You keep that bit of safe. Now, someone who I was looking at yesterday, who I suppose to a degree does this, but it's just what he does. It's a much more respectable way. It's not really journalism. YouTube videos. You and Thea Karen, who we've had on the podcast before. He will do like wish list videos for Forza. He was just mentioning the other day. He finally did like a unique video, and. Most of the time, if he plays a different game, it won't be playing that game. I think he did that for Motorfest because there's the hype there, but it will be 9 things this game does better than Forza Horizon 5. 9 things this game does better than Forza Horizon 5.
I think it's a way of like being safe, because there's like so many YouTube videos. Like, obviously I don't post YouTube videos, but I'm very well aware of like the clickbait algorithm, the SEO, whatever it's called, right?
Yeah.
To try and generate those clicks. It's like you'd say things like this to just it's something that's quick and simple, but it's something that works, right? It's kind of like how people have like Mr. Beastified a lot of their videos, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's really interesting how that kind of stuff works, and it's like, unless you want to make some really unique written content, you have to word it in a way that sounds very baity and it sounds stuff like that, or like I've had to do that a couple of times, right, with a lot of my articles. I mean, some of the biggest articles that I've had when I first started were a lot of my Need for Speed Abandoned Card guide for Payback. So Payback was one where it had like weekly rotating out content, and so many people would just like have a very clickbaity like how to find it. Here's the location and stuff, and I have to try and like do stuff kind of unique to make people click on it. But then also it's just like I could just copy and paste that same thing, but just reword it a little bit, and people will still click on it because it's like it's in the algorithm now. People will find it.
Yeah. I mean, even I have to do a similar thing. If I want to play a game I enjoy, not to say I don't enjoy the. I mean, we could get around to that, I suppose. But if I want to play just any other game, I will have to. It'll have to be referencing the crew, or like when I played Lego 2K Drive. I got lucky there because you could switch to boats and cars in there. So it was just this game is the Crew 2 but Lego. So it's even I have to play it safe, right? Because if I just did playing Unbound, it flops, you know.
No one's gonna care, right?
Exactly, exactly.
They go for the crew content specifically, right? It's the same for me. Like a lot of the people that follow my Twitter account and all that kind of stuff come to me for Need for Speed stuff. So whenever Unbound was getting revealed and stuff, like anything I tweet about Need for Speed was just blowing up hotcakes and stuff, right? Yeah. I wish they had that payment for X or Twitter Blue, whatever it's called now, right? So then that way I could just milk my money out of that and stuff. But people come to me for Need for Speed opinions. People come for me for like Need for Speed content, right? Just because obviously a lot of it is associated with Theo.
Yeah.
And it's like I've kind of got to do stuff where it's like when I tweet about other things, it's kind of hard where it's like unless I make references to Need for Speed or like a lot of my tweets, sometimes I'll put like Need for Speed in the tweet somewhere, right? So it kind of picks it up on that Twitter algorithm.
Is this game the new Need for Speed?
Yeah. But it's the same with like I like to post about Need for Speed content quite a bit. Obviously when the new Unbound volume will come up, I'll try to post a bit more about that, and people will see that. It'll get me some engagement and stuff. It's kind of like people go to you for those kind of things. I feel Theo at least is in a pretty unique position where he can make multiple content. Like obviously everyone will go to him for Need for Speed, but it's kind of like it's cool that people come to us for Need for Speed, for the crew, for Gran Turismo, Forza I guess as well. But Forza I guess everyone's opinion on Forza is a bit different, and especially Theo's opinion is like I won't go there, but we know what it's like. I like Forza, I'll put it that way. But I do have strong opinions about Forza. But
we can talk about all the games and the opinions on them. You can come back around to that. But, it's an unfortunate one when you have to min-max that algorithm. I mean, it's crazy. Rather top tier, I would say that. Theo has managed to get to that point where he's able to play all of the games essentially, right? As long as the thumbnail title's good, it could be any game essentially. It's a very it's something that takes a lot of work to do, you know.
And I think maybe even you might agree with this as well. It's like it kind of kills content creation sometimes, and it's like you feel you have to rely on one thing or you have to rely on this, right? Like I generally don't understand how a lot of like Fortnite or COD or Valorant or whatever, like those kind of content creators can still keep the Crew 2, but at least the Crew 2 gets consistent content,
I suppose,
right? But it's like I don't know how some people, even games like Fortnite and stuff that do get consistent content, how people can still feel motivated to do this all the time. It's kind of like, you see those tweets going around, right, where it's like, people complain about, oh, this year was terrible in gaming, and it's from some big, massive streamer that only plays COD. It's like, I implore you, man, just play other games. There are so many good games out this year. There's Zelda, there's Resident Evil, Hogwarts. There's so many good games, like Spider-Man and Starfield are coming out soon as well. It's just like, and the Crew, obviously, for our spare. It's like, play more games, man. It's like, I implore you, just do that. I know it's obviously, you can't make content out of that as much as you could with Valorant or things, right? But, it's like, you need a good mix, right?
Absolutely.
You try experiment to get audiences into it, right? It's the same with, like, I mean, did you make stuff before the Crew, right?
It's just the Crew happened to do well, so I switched fully onto that. So then now that's that. You know, it's sort of it's an interesting one with me because obviously so I'm a Crew content creator, which at this point may as well be an insult. You know, actually pre-Motorfest. Now I'm fine. Now we're living large, but even being a Crew 2 content creator, for me, it's so much so that I just treat it like work for me. I mean, I don't know about most of the like the big CODs or the big Apexes or the big whatevers and how they treat it. But for me, I will, if I enjoy a game, I'll be like, like I've had where I talk about games I'm playing. You know, I talk about, oh, I'm running through the old Spider-Man games again, or I'm playing God of War at the moment, or I'm playing Splinter Cell Blacklist because that's like the best game ever made.
Great game. I love that game.
Have you actually played that game? Oh my god, I've never had someone who's actually played that game.
I have played that religiously. So one of the other Nobeds that we've got, Australian as well, Rahul, he and I played through it co-op together. He bought it for me a couple of years ago.
The Briggs co-op, you got the co-op missions as well. I've never actually met someone who's actually played that game.
Yeah.
I consider that's
the thing for me, right? So obviously I do a lot of racing game content, but I play a shitload of other games.
Yeah,
sorry if I just swore and ruined your monetization, but you know,
the podcast is swearable. Yes.
Yeah. But I play a lot of other games. I mean, recently I've been playing a lot of Red Dead again. I've been playing. I've actually been cracking out the PS3 and playing it on my big new TV because it's kind of nice that I actually have a TV where I can actually hear the sound through. Because I usually play on monitors, so it's nice that I've got a TV.
It's incredibly nice to have one rigged up and waxed up on it. Yeah.
So I've been playing a lot of PS3 games again, like the old Ratchet and Clanks and Sly Cooper games and stuff. I play so many other games that it's like. It kind of feels like a disservice that I only focus on racing games, but then again, it's like that's where my opinion matters the most, right? Need for Speed the biggest, I guess the Crew and Gran Turismo and Forza as well. But then if I was to tweet about, oh yeah, I'm buying the new Spider-Man controller and stuff, I'll get like 2 likes on Twitter because people don't really care, right?
It's the nature of a niche, right? But yeah, like I was saying before, I realized that you've also played the best game ever made. I consider that my favorite game of all time. It's so good.
It's great.
It's not been played by like anyone.
I'm genuinely surprised Ubisoft have not like remastered that game. Like even just done like what Red Dead's doing, Rockstar doing with Red Dead, right? And just ported it to PS4 and Xbox and well, not PC, but
I mean even the PC, the PC one's broken. You can if you buy the DLC, it doesn't give you the DLC and breaks your online as a punishment, I suppose. It was one of the things that a big news headline before it came out where Ubisoft was banning you if you brought up the fact that it didn't work in the forums. Like, shocking, but that
sounds like Ubisoft.
Yeah, exactly right. And it's 2 franchises. If I had a penny for every franchise that I played the last game of before that franchise went on extended hiatus, and that game that I played was completely shifted from the normal one, I'd have 2, Driver and Splinter Cell Blacklist, because San Francisco, complete, like, the cult classic, completely redid the Driver games, really, and then they just gave up with it, and then they just went, never mind, no more Driver, actually.
I really hate that with some games these days. It's like, speaking about how I was playing Ratchet and Clank before, it's like, I love Insomniac games will always keep making Ratchet and Clank games, but then it's like, Jak and Daxter was one that was a big cult classic on the PS2, right? We haven't had a Jak and Daxter game in like years, but then you also think about we haven't had a new like Midnight Club game in what 15 years. This year, I think. We haven't had like a new Splinter Cell in forever, and Ubisoft always bait us every bloody Ubisoft.
Well,
Connect
that
thing
remake
that
is having lead people leave and development troubles, so I want it to be good, but I just don't have any faith.
The same with like that Prince of Persia remake they're doing too. It's like that's always having like every time I see things about it, it's always like okay, it's been delayed further. It's like Ubisoft are then focusing on how to milk more Assassin's Creed games and stuff like that, right? Like. I don't know. It's kind of telling for the industry, right? Where it's like they focus on the big games that they know will work, and I kind of, without sounding like a PlayStation shill or something, I do kind of like that with Sony, where they do invest in those smaller games.
Absolutely.
And same, I guess, with Xbox too. Now that they're starting to invest more in like how I haven't played it, but that Hi-Fi Rush game came out earlier this year, and it was like they're doing more stuff like that. But I hate that this industry is just like focus on the bigger and bigger games. Like, I mean, like I'd kill for a new Midnight Club, man. Like, I'd love to have a new Midnight Club.
It's a real Marvelization of the gaming industry, is what it is, I suppose. But yeah, like I was saying, where the tangent stemmed from, I suppose, is they like you just said, like I play so many different games in my spare time. In fact, it's to the point where I'm a bit of a fraud. I'm not even really a car guy. I've always been more of just like a gaming. I'm a bit of a content head more than I am a car head. And it just ended up being that
Yeah.
the crew was what did well. So I was like, yeah, I could do more crew. I enjoy this game. And then here I am now, you know. Like I played racing games, you know. I grew up with Drive San Francisco, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, something else for Project Gotham Racing 3.
Oh man, that's another one that I'm so surprised hasn't come back as
Yeah.
well. Like,
Who made
but
that? That was what dev team even was that?
I can't remember off the top of my head, so that makes me a racing game fraud.
SMH.
But I know it was by Xbox. It was an Xbox exclusive kind of franchise. But yeah,
Yeah.
I need to.
I just remember like specific tracks, etc. I barely even have any memories of it. I played it on like a I used to play it on like it was a curved TV curved in the other direction is how old of a game that was. At least 4 was by Bizarre Creations.
Oh yeah, I know what I can't remember what they make now. I mean, obviously, I think they're defunct these days.
I
Like, they're
imagine
gone.
so, yeah.
But their name sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure
Oh, they did a
just
Forza
focused
Motorsport 3, 2, 4. It seems like they. Am I going crazy?
I
No.
think they might have become a support studio for Turn 10, I
Yeah.
think, or something like that. They ring a bell to me, but I just can't remember off the top of my head.
I
So.
recognize this. Oh, they did Blur as well, I think. Yeah, video game
Oh,
Blur.
okay, that's where I remember. So they're an Activision company now, I think.
Oh,
Maybe.
so they got absorbed. Yeah.
So they probably are one of those that used to work on like the Tony Hawks and Spyros and stuff,
Yeah.
and now maybe they're in the COD chain and just making COD stuff. I don't know.
I mean, considering Need for Speed devs can be put on a Battlefield, I imagine it's possible, I suppose. So,
That whole scenario. I mean, like I could go into a whole tangent
we
by myself.
probably
but
will
it's all
when we
good.
talk about just the games out right now and all of those.
Yeah.
But I play a bunch of different games in my spare time, and it's to the point where if I enjoy a game and I talk about it on stream or something, and someone's like, "Oh, you should stream that game," or "Oh, you should play that game," or something, I'd like to watch you do it. One, it would flop,
Yeah.
but two,
Yeah.
even if I had a guarantee that it didn't flop, I don't want to turn the game I enjoy into work as well, right? Like,
I'll be perfectly honest with you, right? Like that's part of the reason why I haven't really done much content on Need for Speed Unbound. Like,
Yeah.
I do love that game, but it's also one where it's like, for the last we've been waiting for Need for Speed fans, we've been waiting for that game for like the last 3 years, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's great that it finally effing came out, right? Like it's great, but it's one where it's like I felt really pressured to make a review on it,
Yeah.
just because it's like obviously stuff like that, and I kind of hate that because it's like. It's a franchise that I love, but I don't want to make it into work for me, right?
Exactly.
Like, I love giving my opinions. I love like a lot of the developers I'll talk to from Need for Speed and stuff. Like I'll tell them, hey, look, I really love this. I dislike this part of it. I really wish you focus on this. I'll be very critical with them, right? Because that's a lot of what my review will be. But it's more critical for the sake of the masses, right? So everyone else that follows us can see. I mean, 9 times out of 10, if you're following us, you're going to be buying the game anyway, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter too much if I tell you, hey, this game is great, this game is ass, whatever, right? If we tell you, like, if you're on the fence about a game, sure, I'll give you my opinion. You can read about it and you can go, cool. All right, well, I trust what you say. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
But if you're following us for Need for Speed or for the crew or Forza or stuff, you know what we think about those kind of games. And if it's like more of what we like, you're going to buy it anyway. So
yeah.
it doesn't really matter too much. It's like a lot of the people, like, we can hype up the crew Motorfest as much as we want. So many people will want to buy it because they played the beta or they were in the closed insider program and stuff, right? And they're gonna pick it up anyway. So that's back to my point. Like with Unbound, I really do enjoy it. I actually play it still quite a bit in my spare time. I was actually playing it just before. And there are a lot of problems with the game, personally. Like I will say.
Yeah.
It's one where I just felt really pressured at the time that I was like, okay, Christmas time, because obviously it came out in like very beginning of December and stuff. I was like, okay. And, you know, I had a lot of work on at the time. I had a lot of stuff in life going on as well. So I was kind of like, I don't know if I really put a review out. And I kept on telling people, I was like, okay, I'll put one out soon. And I kind of just gave up on it.
Yeah.
I do feel a bit more motivated to whenever I don't know if this coming season or volume, whatever, is going to be the final volume for Unbound. They haven't said it will be, so fingers crossed it's not going to be. We're going to
I
get
was
more
gonna
content,
say,
which
yeah.
is
I mean, this. It's definitely not the point. It's definitely not the point to put the full stop. I can imagine more can be
yeah,
done. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what I find funny too. Is it's
Yeah.
like I was telling Theo the other day. I'm just happy. People complaining about like, oh, there's not much content coming in this update. I'm just like, I'm just happy that they haven't killed it and put out a generic post saying we're working on a new game.
Yeah.
We'll see
Yeah.
you in like a year or two's time. It's like I don't know, but I'm thinking once Unbound like gets its final update, that's probably when the point where I'll review it, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I can review it from the sake of I remember what it was like when the game came out, and here's where it is now.
I mean, you can do
Like a
like yeah, did the updates
1 year
save
later.
Unbound or did yeah, like
Yeah, like a
yeah.
1 year later review summary kind of because maybe you agree with me on this point, right? It's like when a game comes out these days, it's kind of unfair of like it's just a disservice to kind of do a review of them straight away,
Absolutely.
especially
Yeah. Yeah. Often it
when they're a
will.
lot of
Mm,
but like live service games, right? Like
yeah.
you already know for a fact that this game's going to get support for ages. I mean, you look at like let's say for example, someone reviewed Fortnite in 2018 and then they
Yeah.
reviewed
Yeah.
Fortnite in 2023. It's
I
like
mean, The Crew 2
they've
released
added
20% of a game. Like it's
mm,
now you could look back at The Crew 2 and be like, oh shit, there's content here. Like
mm,
it absolutely. The Crew 2 released without PvP. A
yep,
summit. Most of what it has now. Yeah,
mm.
it's a
And
weird
I
one
get
to yeah.
yeah. Well, that's another thing too. I was like, it's great that not to make it sound like the game is a test bed and stuff, but it's
Sure.
like it's kind of great where it's like going into Motorfest, a lot of the great stuff that came with the Crew 2
Oh
and
yeah,
is already
definitely.
present
Yeah.
in the Crew 2 is
Yeah.
going to be there at launch. And then
Yeah.
you already know that there's going to be seasons already coming that it's like, cool, we're going to get like obviously there's 25 cars over throughout the year, but
Yeah.
you're going to get like a what is it
It's
first?
well,
Is it
it's
Donut Media first or is it the second
first three
season?
months. So Donut Media is gonna be in the launch stuff in the like 15 playlists. It's first 3 months are like cars across the world. First month is like American, then
Yeah.
JDM, then European. 3 months in, it's Hoonigan. Is that then
Mm,
3 month
Hoonigan, that's
season?
the
Yeah,
one. That's what it was. Yeah.
yeah. So we've got a guarantee of stuff is gonna happen in this game straight away, right? Like
Mm, mm.
no, with
Like you're picking up a game where it's like you've got all the stuff you had from the last game, even though people like to go, oh, it's a $70 DLC, but it's like it's definitely not. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's another opinion for another.
Yeah.
I could go on so many about that, but never
Yeah.
mind.
Oh,
I'll
don't even
keep my
worry about it.
cool
The
for that.
Stick Drift podcast is the home of tangents. Tangents where you forget what you were tangenting from. So it's don't
What were
even
we
worry
tangenting
about it.
about before?
I
No.
don't even remember, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're mentioning the games releasing. Yeah.
Games releasing. Yeah. Okay. Now I've kind of lost my train of thought. Fuck's sake.
As unfinished and a disservice to review
Oh,
them. Yeah.
yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. So it's kind of like I'd much rather wait to get a game where it's like, cool, you can talk about it when it comes out, of course. Put a review out, you do your initial review, but if you know if it's going to be getting updates over time, like I think one thing I really respected about IGN, which
Yeah.
is kind of hard thing to say, but years ago, before they got rid of Drive Club, they actually did a review of Drive Club again after the game had been out for like a year, and I think that went from like a 6 to an 8, at least because they added so much content over the time of like new DLCs. They added the bike expansion. Still, again, one of my personal favorite PS4 games,
Yeah.
besides like God of War and stuff. But Drive Club was such an incredible game, and it's like it was one where I think it kind of defined live service as well. Same with the Crew 1, and I think like stuff like Rainbow Six and stuff.
Hmm.
With those kind of games these days, it's like it's cool to make reviews about them when they first come out, but it sort of matters more so when they've had a year or they've had 2 years or their end of its life, right? That's when I think a review really matters. I, I mean, it's hard to say too as well because it's like, why would someone want to read a review about a game when it's about to die,
Yeah, I
right? Like,
suppose.
okay,
Yeah.
but it's still where it's like, if you were to pick up this game now, where it's like, instead of it being a $70 game, it's now a $30 game or
Yeah.
20 or something. It's had 4 or 5 seasons worth of content. It's had this, it's had that. They've added this stuff in there. It's the best time to play it, and you know for a fact that the next game is on the horizon, and it's going to include all the stuff that was great about this.
Yeah.
So if you like the stuff that they added over the last year or two, and you are a fan of these kind of games, you have this to experience, and a new game is coming out. It's going to have all the stuff you would have enjoyed from this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, but then also it's kind of a good one where it's like, it's good to tell developers where it's like, okay, you put out a product that wasn't that great, but then you've spent years working on it, and you made it to a good product, and everyone likes it now.
Yeah.
Kind of like with Battlefield
and
stuff. Even though it was delayed and all the problems, but again,
I definitely in that as well. Like you mentioned the pricing of it waiting. I mean, I get the demand of like an immediate review. I get the demand of I mean, like you mentioned.
I mean, like
if
you're gonna pay $70 for a game at launch, you want to buy something that is good, right? And it works and it's all that stuff, right? So,
and like the thing is that people even for the Crew Motorfest, right? It's that they mention like the £70 thing, right? The Crew 2, I pre-ordered the Crew 2 just because I was like, yeah, I'm definitely gonna. It was when I was doing the paper round, so I was like, yeah, I got money now, I can get the Crew 2. So I paid like 80 for it. My mate got the Crew 2 for like £25 on the first day of early access. Before launch, it was on discount, and he got it for that much. Like,
well, I'm pretty sure Unbound was like that too. Like, not even a month after it came out, like, because it kind of flopped at launch, where it was already half price. It's like, like sometimes it's like it's best to wait, but then it's like, you never know. I mean, you look at the Nintendo games; the games are still selling for the same price they were 6 years ago. So.
I mean, that's the beauty of it as well is that, like, obviously the Crew 2 released. I'd say the Crew 2 has got more value than it was at launch, but it launched full price until immediate discounts. But now it's gotten cheaper and cheaper, yet the actual things to do and the value for that money has gotten higher and higher. And I imagine the same thing would be for the Crew Motorfest. Hopefully the same thing would be for whatever for Unbound once all these updates are finished, right? There's a heavy handful of features that Unbound has added that weren't there at launch that people immediately wanted at launch. So like, even though the games have gotten cheaper, it's not like a car where the older it gets and the cheaper it gets, the worse the product. You're still getting the same product. Is the beauty of it.
And I guess that's one thing I really enjoy about games these days is like, there's a lot of debate online about like single player games or multiplayer games or live service games, and it's like, I really enjoy like the possibilities of live service, but then I also know that there's a lot of demand that comes with that, and I think that's one thing that a lot of gamers don't really understand when developers are like, okay, we can't really sustainably put out so much content every so often, and so every time there's a new season that comes out, I'm just happy that there's getting new content and stuff, right? I see so many people complaining about like Unbound or stuff like that, where it's like, I'm very happy that they've added stuff like the link ups. That's a cool new feature. It's something that gets me invested. Speed Pass has got something that's got me coming back to the game, right? Like, I'm not a PvP kind of guy. I like to play the Crew and Need for Speed and that kind of stuff, right? Like, just effing around, just doing whatever I want to in co-op, messing around with my mates. I'm not a big PvP kind of guy, and I get that there's big complaints about people wanting PvP matchmaking in the game. I totally understand that, and I definitely think Criterion needs to have that kind of stuff. But it's like, I'm more happy just knowing that I'm getting content where it's like, it's making me want to play the game. Like, because for a while before that third season came out, sure, the Volume 2 came out, I did not care. I did the first sort of thing, like I got to do a sponsored thing from EA, which thanks for the money for that, and I appreciate being review it. But it's like, the content that they added just wasn't for me, and I guess sure there are people that are like that. The content isn't for me, but it's kind of nice that they're adding content. They're trying to add for more people, right? And it's again boosting that value up, making the game better, and then eventually when the next game rolls around, I mean, the whole reason why they make these kind of updates is for the next game, essentially. It's the whole reason why, let's say like Gran Turismo Sport on PS4. I remember they only launched with I think 100 cars or 100 and something cars, but then they did constant updates like every so often. And then you look at Gran Turismo 7, all the cars that came in Gran Turismo Sport, all over in the new game, brought over, I should say. And same with the Crew Motorfest.
Yeah.
Every single car, all the boats, all the planes, all the updates, everything that's been there is coming across. You can complain it's like like you can complain like it's a DLC if you want, but it's totally not. It's a big new area, big new map, I should say. Whole new bit of content to do. I mean, if I'm entirely honest, as someone who used to play a bit of the Crew 2, it's got me more excited to play more of the Crew. Like, it's even got me wanting to play the Crew 2 again, so it's like, I can get those special cars that are in the game currently and bring them over to me with Motorfest when I get that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the Crew's always adapted. They really have. They made a story-based, dark and edgy revenge plot game when story-based, dark and edgy revenge plot was popping. They made a get famous just car-focused game and Brian. The way I looked at it is they literally just followed, for those first two at least, they just did exactly what Watch Dogs did. They went from dark, brooding revenge plot to happy-go-lucky, get famous. And now that festival races are in, it took...
It's the big popular thing, right?
Yeah, they've switched around over to that. They've adapted to it. The £70 DLC thing is... because I got in a bit of a spout on Twitter with someone over that one. It was in my tweet about Unbound, and it was like they were like, oh, Crew's just a £70 DLC to start with, and I was like, I don't know, but most of the time I'm not bothered, so I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I was like, oh yeah, sure, it does discount the updated graphics, handling, completely redone progression, completely redone like the visuals, the PV, the greatly improved PvP, basically all of the changes made that establish itself as a separate game, completely discounts all of those. But I'm sure, yes, if you discounted all of those, then sure, £70 DLC, right?
But that's the thing too. It's like no one's forcing you to buy these games at launch, right? You can wait for a discount. You can wait for these kind of things.
It'll be £20 by the end of the month. Like it's crazy. Yeah.
It's Ubisoft, right? And you can always just play it. I think what's that Ubisoft Connect
Ubisoft
thingy
Plus,
you can buy?
It's £12.
Yeah, if you don't feel like it's worth paying £70 at launch, kind of like a lot of the games you see on Game Pass or something like that, right? Just pay that. Just play it on there. See if it's for you. If you want it, buy it again in the future. But again, like, because I totally understand. Like these days, I mean, I'm a bit blessed to be in a position where I work a full-time job and I make quite a bit of money and stuff. Again, not to flex or anything like that, but it's like I work a full-time job. I can afford to buy these games at launch. I can afford to do this, right? I totally understand that with economic things at the moment, people can't do that.
Absolutely.
So that's why that's why things like Game Pass or PlayStation Plus Extra or like even having all these subscription services, even though they add up, it's good if like you want to play this game at launch. Sure. If you want to play Starfield, like you can play it on Game Pass for like a month or something. And if you want to buy it again in the future, you can. Like I don't necessarily agree with subscription services myself, but it's like
in this specific case, it doesn't require immediate capital and it doesn't require a commitment, right? So
definitely.
So it definitely helps out in that case, and it is a rather good trial way to play the game. Yeah, you play it for a month and you get whatever else is in Ubisoft.
And then I guess and then I guess that's the thing you realize. Okay, maybe this isn't a stupidly found DLC like I stupidly thought, right? Like, like
it is.
I don't know.
It's rather it is a rather aggressively held opinion. I have to say,
I can totally understand it from the perspective of like how much of the car list is coming across, but you got to realize that that's all the car list that's coming across because obviously the cars, the models, for all that kind of stuff are already there, so of course they're going to come across. It's the same with like why all the cars from bloody Forza Motorsport 4 have come across all the way to Forza Horizon 4 or Horizon 5 and stuff. Like they've just copy and pasted a lot of those car models, obviously updated them and stuff, right? But it's like they're going to reuse those things because they're obviously cars that they've got, they've modeled them, they've made them, so of course they're going to bring them across. It doesn't make sense where it's like, okay, we're going to make Motorfest and we're going to kill half our car list, right? Like that makes no sense to me.
Like I saw like a critique that was like, oh well, even the customization is the same. All the customization parts are the same from the Crew 2. Did you not want them in the game?
Yeah,
Like, did
yeah.
you like it's
Like I can sympathize with people that want more. Like I
yeah, that I
totally
get, yeah.
don't. Yeah, but it's like, would you prefer that we had no cars from the last game and no customization, as opposed to literally having the option to import your own collection? Like that's a huge
Yeah.
thing, and like I love that. I love the fact that I can do it after I beat the game too, because I'm definitely going to be one of those guys. It's like I like to grind and stuff. I like to play it
Yeah,
with,
absolutely.
start fresh, and then eventually, okay, cool. We're getting into the end game stuff. All right, of course I want my Red Fury,
Yeah, because
Mitsubishi
those
Evo X
remain
and stuff, right?
exclusive, right? So unless they come back naturally, which the Red Fury might be doing early on, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, it's a decent way of doing it where you can still grind, you can get everything. The fact that you can do it later on perfectly counters the pros and cons, because it's like uh not having the car and not having anything to do later on into the game. If you import,
Yeah.
you can just not import, and then once you've done everything, whatever, half a
You,
year in, however long it takes, took me a year, like on the side playing the game to get every single car. Then you can just import the exclusives that you don't have,
yeah.
right? Like it's the perfect way of doing it.
Yeah, and it literally accommodates to so many different people, right? Like, I mean, I haven't played the Crew 2 in a while. Like, I remember I got really back into the Crew 2 when they first started doing the season stuff, and that's when
Yeah,
I think I stopped probably around season 3, but that's mainly just because I was like, I don't know, I just got kind of burnt out of it.
that's
And
when I
because the Crew 2,
spawned doing content. Yeah.
yeah, because the Crew wasn't really my, like, I might offend you here, but the Crew never really was something that I could get into.
Oh, don't
The
even
Crew
worry about
1.
it. I'm not even crazy into the game. Tell you what, it's work. Yeah.
No, but the Crew, like, I've always really enjoyed them. I've also felt that they've had like a big identity crisis too.
Yeah.
Like, um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
with Theo and Matthew, like, I really respect how they can make content and stuff, and they love the game. Like, I love it too. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but it's like I was never really into it as much as I could Need for Speed, and that's the one thing I really enjoy about Motorfest is like when I played from the Insider program, like I was invited in the very first Insider program sort of
Yeah.
stuff kicked off like in January or February, whenever they announced the game, right?
End of February, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, end of
Or
February. Yeah, so
start.
I played it.
One of the two.
Yeah, so I played it for a bit on PC and stuff,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, this is cool, really enjoying it. Then they did the console one, I think, like in June or something
Yeah,
like
that was
that.
like the
And
last one, like 9 days long or something.
yeah, and I remember it was around the same time I moved into the place that I'm at now. And I was just sitting in my room, just playing constantly, and I was just like, I played that first playlist where it's like the Japanese one. I really enjoyed that. And
Yeah.
then but it wasn't until I got to the vintage one where you had like the really unique kind of content. I was
Each
like,
event
okay,
is like a different thing.
yeah,
One's a different race type. Yeah.
yeah, but I love that they have such unique content like that where it's like, cool, okay, you're going to drive a car from the 50s that's got no ABS, it's got no nitrous, got no bloody GPS system, so you have to
Yeah.
follow photos. That's so cool, and that's what made me sort of fall in love with Motorfest, because it's like, I'm so excited for this stuff now. And then even playing that beta, like those massive 28-player PvP races, playing the Demolition
So
Royale,
good. Yeah.
those are like the coolest things I've seen in a
Yeah.
racing game in like forever.
That's what I've been saying. I don't know if I'm hyperbolic when I say that, because I will say like these two are some of the most fun PvPs put into a racing
100%.
game. Like it's
Yeah. And that really frustrates me with like Need for Speed. Like you could do so many cool things like if you ever played Burnout Paradise, like I
yeah.
love the cops and robbers in that. I love that you could do the marked mans, the road rages and stuff. Make modes like that. Like why are we missing those kind of game modes
Yeah.
from racing games? Like I've said to like Criterion / Ghost and stuff for years, it's like we'd love to have modes like cops and robbers, King of the Hill, Infected,
Mm.
those kind of stuff that Forza had, right? Those are such cool modes,
Yeah.
and to see Ivory Tower like making something unique like that, like making a
Yeah.
battle royale, but it's a
Like
lot more
it's a
unique.
well
Or
done battle royale rather
yeah,
than just
yeah,
Forza's goofy one.
yeah, yeah. Like it's so insane to me. Like it's like I can't believe that they're doing stuff like this, and people were kind of sleeping on it. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't really play it too much in the beta. But obviously, when the full game comes out, I'm sure yourself, Theo, people will make videos on this and get it
Yeah.
up. But there's this such cool modes, and I've got to give them so much props to that. Like
Those two
for
came
a
out of
game,
nowhere with how just how
exactly.
polished and quality they are compared to all of it. Yeah.
Mm. So I can't wait.
Yeah.
Like as someone that wasn't a huge The Crew fan, like I am really excited for the Motorfest,
I
and
mean,
it's one where it's like I'll make content of course,
Yeah.
but it's also one where I'm gonna try and, like I was saying with Need for Speed, kind of take a back step, trying to focus on doing my own stuff. Because again, I don't want it to make it seem like work for me. Like I want to play
Yeah.
games, I want to enjoy them and stuff. Like I've had people from EA that I used to be quite close friends with and stuff like that, where they're like, you should start streaming. You know, you've got a big platform. You know, you do the stuff with the Nobeds, you do stuff with Theo and stuff. You could do well. It's just like
Then it
I don't
becomes
really want to
work.
make it
Yeah.
becomes work, right? It's like
Yeah.
I'd love to play. You know, when Spider-Man 2 comes out, I'd love to play that. You know, like I'm potentially building a new PC soon because I want to play Starfield at like the max settings because I
Yeah.
cannot wait for that. But it's like I don't want to, but to become work. Like I if I was to start streaming and do stuff like that, it'll be very casual. Just like I don't care if I get demonetized and stuff. It's just like
Yeah.
I just want to play, have fun. People watch me.
It's the
I
better
can have
way of
some
doing
fun
it.
moments
Tell
and
you
stuff.
what. Yeah.
Yeah, rather than feel like I'm playing this. I need to hit this many followers or this many
Yeah.
people viewing or whatever. It's just like it's too stressful, and I really got to give it to some YouTubers and streamers and stuff. It's like ones that push themselves, like yourself and like Theo and all them. It's like
Mm.
it's quite the grind to do that kind of stuff, and content creation can become monotonous and can become like
Yeah.
just tedious and a grind and stuff. And that's why it's important to have games like you were saying that just don't feel like work.
That's where I'm torn as well, because I really like Motorfest is just the kind of a game where if it was like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, God, how long ago did I do my GCSEs? Like, if it was whenever around my GCSE exams, I would be playing the game for hours and hours and hours, like I did the Crew 2 back 2018 when it first came out, just playing it hours and hours and hours.
That's a good thing to ask. Like, what's a game like in most recent years that you felt like you could just put hundreds of hours into? You just like very addicted to, not other than like the Crew, right? But
Yeah.
or like a racing game. What's something that's big for you that you thought was like around the time that you had so many commitments, like exams or something, right? What's something that you just put so many hours into and you just did not care?
You know what? During exams, it was the Crew 2, just because that one I could just grind some like YouTube on the second monitor. Oh, what do I even play? Recently I don't have much spare time anymore. I don't do anything in my spare time really.
Relatable.
Yeah. I think it was like a fair few story games. I got into God of War for the first time. The God of War, I only played it for the first time like a year ago. Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga. Playing with my mates, like Rocket League, Apex Legends, games like that. With my girlfriend, I'll play some Minecraft, No Man's Sky. My mates back around GCSEs, it was, or like the summer after, we sort of went month by month. It was like 1 month we were really into No Man's Sky, and then we were really into Destiny 2 the next month, and then the next month we were really into Fortnite when Zone Wars popped off, and then we were really into whatever. So I could jump around, versatile. The Crew's the only one where I've managed to have the room to sink in a bunch of hours. I used to, growing up, Lego games was what I would just I grew up on Lego games. Yeah. My first online game ever was Fortnite. It was my first online game. I grew up on I didn't even have the Wi-Fi plugged into my Xbox 360. I grew up on
when hearing you say Fortnite was your first online game, it makes me feel so old, even though I'm like only 26.
Yeah.
Like that makes me feel so old.
You've only got 6 years on me. Come on.
I think my first online game that I ever got, like I remember making a PlayStation Network account back in like 2009. So I think I was like 12 at the time. I think the very first game I played online, it was either Burnout Paradise or it was Little Big Planet 1.
Yeah.
So it's like to hear Fortnite is just like, oh Jesus.
Don't worry,
like,
I'm not like a 7-year-old who's actually growing up on Fortnite. Don't worry. It's just I started late. Right?
Okay, that's fine.
Actually growing up,
my old heart is
yeah. Tell you what,
I'm gonna get out of this chair. I'm gonna have back problems and stuff, you know.
Oh, tell you what, I had the same when I turned 20. I feel like I'm getting old now, and it's terrible.
Hey, I noticed so many grey hairs on the side here. It's really stressing me out.
Gonna go for the Mr. Fantastic, you know. But
oh, Doctor Strange.
Yeah. Actually, I'm at the age where like people younger than me are successful now, so that's where it gets like Tommy Innes. a year younger than me, and the fella's on 18 million subs. What are you talking about? Like, it'll be like, fitness influencer, and they're like 16, and I'm like, God, I'm like almost half a decade older now.
I'll tell you what, like, I so many times I've gone to the gym and stuff, and I've made friends with people there, and it's crazy when they tell me, oh, they've just turned 18. I'm just like, you've what?
Yeah,
and it was like, it's like, yeah, my birthday is like August 2005. What?
Yeah. For now, I've been that age for a long while where I've been like, yeah, I'm only 19. You know, I only started doing the proper YouTube stuff when I was 17. It's only been like coming up on 3 years now.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because I started content creation around your age.
Yeah.
Which is even weirder to imagine.
There you go.
So it's like 6 years. So.
Yeah. But growing up, it was story games like Modern Warfare. I played Modern Warfare 3's story. Call of Duty 3, and yeah, I think there was World at War. That I played that campaign. Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, Drive to San Francisco's campaign. I grew up on campaign, and then just like every Lego game. It was from like I played Simpsons Hit and Run. And
classic.
Literally recently, I've been thinking in my head, it's like an intrusive thought. I'm like, what if I just uploaded thumbnail title, screw it, Simpsons Hit and Run, and I just played Simpsons Hit and Run for a video. Simpsons Hit and Run, Crash Bandicoot, Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker, that's the new one, Complete Saga, and then like Lego Batman 2 onwards. Just Lego games growing up. Yeah, it was
awesome choices.
Yeah,
I miss those kind of days of games and stuff, right? Like,
absolutely.
So to bring up, so when we were talking about like the exam kind of stuff, so what brought me up to prompt that question is like when you said you were playing the crew so many times for new exams, it just reminded me of when I first started university. So I started in 2016. Yeah, I was just like 19 at the time, and I remember one of my friends in one of my courses was really obsessed with The Witcher 3. Yeah. And he was reading The Witcher books and stuff, and he was like, you know, you should just buy it, you should buy it. And so I bought it around the time of my very first exams. So I had like programming, coding, that kind of stuff, right? And it went on like a Steam sale at the time. So I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna buy The Witcher 3. Yeah. I put 56 hours into it in like a week.
Yeah.
I was
did a full-time job in The Witcher 3.
Yeah, I was just like, I am so screwed for this kind of stuff. But thankfully, I passed them just barely. But you know, if I didn't have to focus on The Witcher as well, so like. But just games like that, like I feel kind of hard these days, especially where it's like you don't have much time. There's not really many games that really come out and do much for you in terms of like wanting to play them. Like I get people have full-time jobs or they have a whole busy life outside of work or uni or something like that, right? Like for me, my day sort of consists of I go to work, I come home from work, I'll play a few games of Warzone or Fortnite with my mate Jared. Not a Nobed, but another friend of mine that is close with some of the Nobed friends. Yeah. And you know, we'll just play that, and it'll hit the time. Okay, cool, gym time. All right, go to the gym for an hour and a half or whatever. Come home, make dinner, and then it's around time it is now. Okay, bedtime.
Being so on the clock. That's what gets me. But being so on the clock. I remember I didn't even used to. I was late to learning the days of the week and the months, right? So imagine summer comes up for like a child, and they have no idea how many days it actually is. I was just waking up a full holiday, waking up like now summer starts, and I'm like, yep, okay, that many days left, and I've got this to do, and yeah, I'm so on the clock now as well. It's like like my schedule, like I was saying, no free time. And a lot of it ties into the fact that I really, to prevent burnout, etc. as well, I really just treat it like work. It is, I wake up at like 7:30, I'm on the clock 9 till 2, straight, just working. Then, like you said, clock goes, go gym, I eat, I come back, I get maybe half an hour, then either I stream or I get back to work. And then I clock off at 9 because 9 is bedtime because I need to wake up early in the morning to start work again. The being on the clock is just so,
it's good in a way, but it's also partly like, it's like every day sort of becomes the same. So you're always going to try and make it unique, right? Like, I mean, I can't say I've done one of these podcasts in a while, so it's kind of like it's throwing my schedule out of it, right? So thanks for having me.
Yeah,
it's really
absolutely.
Cool. But it's just things like that, where it's like you kind of want something that sort of helps take away from that monotonous like just day life grind, right? And so that's why I'm looking forward to games like just getting lost into like playing Motorsports, getting lost into playing Spider-Man,
as well. I was gonna say that one's I'm looking forward to as well. Yeah.
Just so it's like it just gets you back into a mode of like not say feeling younger, right? But it gets you into a thing of like this makes life a bit different, right? It makes it more like you look forward to this
time in the life is a bit more unique, it's not it's one of the things that when you get to 5 years from now, you can be like, I've been working for the last 5 years, but with Spider-Man, it's like, oh yeah, those few months, that was the time I played Spider-Man, and then this was the amount of time I played this, and I completely get what you mean. Like in my head,
it's like you look back and like you look back and you be like, okay, cool. Like all these days of Fortnite were fantastic. Or all these days of us playing Warzone during like the COVID lockdowns, right? So cool. You have all these kind of like random memories and stuff. Like like a lot of my best memories, I'd say, will come from games. Like I'm very much like it's kind of like how you were saying before. Like I'm more of a gaming guy than a car guy. Like obviously I am into cars. I've like since I bought my new BRZ, I've been trying to get a bit more into doing more car stuff. More like that. But it's like, I care more about just playing games with cars in it, right? Like that's where I learned most of my car knowledge. That's where I learned most of my like, knowledge of most things, right? Like I feel most of my personality is defined by games, whereas it's like it's very different that when you know someone who's defined by cars, it's like, oh yeah, they'll tell you about like the sort of washers or screws of like the engine bay or something like that. It's like, okay, I could tell you that about like the lore of fucking like Motorfest
exactly,
or Need for Speed, right? It's like, when are they going to bring back this character? Oh yeah, I know this thing. Like it reminded me so much too. Back when I was in high school, when they had those PS3 server hacks, like 2011. So many people would go to me. It's like, Cory, do you know when the server's going to be back on? I was like, bro, I don't know. Like, I don't work for Sony. It's just like I'm into games and stuff, but I'm not into that kind of stuff. Right? Like, I don't know that.
So, I'm just I'm really spread out in my like I've got car posters back there. I forget they're up there sometimes. I walked into my room the other day and I was like, oh yeah, I got posters up. I'm so not into any specific thing for me. I will be around. Like I was playing Lego Star Wars and then I start jumping into a bunch of Star Wars stuff and I start watching videos and stuff. When I'm cycling to the gym, I'll watch Star Wars based stuff, and then I play Spider-Man, and then I'm into that stuff for like a hot minute, and then like it's
kind of like like a jack of all trades, master of none.
Exactly,
right? Where it's like you don't have like you can't have a personality defined by one thing. It's like, and that's kind of what makes people unique, right? It's like you like multiple different things.
Like I've got this Crew 2 stuff behind me. I could take it all down and not blink. It's just sort of like I don't.
Well, I mean, it's the same with me. I don't know if you can. Oh, right behind me.
Stuff there, yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of see this whole lot of like horizon, like Jack and Dexter, a little bit. I got that down there too. Yeah. So it's like a lot of Spyro stuff. I think on the side. Hold on, if you can.
A massive mix. Yeah. That's either Spyro as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I'm very defined by games rather than like cars and stuff.
Exactly. So. Yeah. It's way more general. Like I could be into cars, some of it, but like. It would just be one of the things, it wouldn't be the main thing. I'm not one to delve specifically into any specific genre of anything really, which I guess is good because I can have such a mix in, like you were saying earlier, just the memories of I played when playing No Man's Sky for that month, and the memories of Destiny for that month, and Fortnite way back when. Some of I mean, like you were saying, memories gaming. I still remember just pissing on the floor laughing, just like it was just rolling on the floor unironically, laughing at Fortnite like 4 years ago now, and memories like
or just
that.
Like the late nights and stuff. Right?
Like even within gaming, it's like I've got an old schoolmate, really into Dead by Daylight. And it's like, even if it wasn't Dead by Daylight, I couldn't imagine really being into one specific one for that
Yeah,
long.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I've got so many mates of mine who like all they play is Valorant, all they play is CS:GO and
Yeah.
stuff, or like you see how like you go on the Steam profiles and they got like 3,000 hours on CS:GO. It's just like I probably put 30 at most.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like my most played Steam games. It's like cool, maybe PUBG was like 300 hours, Destiny was 400, but it's like I've got multiple games at heaps of high hours, not just like you
Yeah.
see one where it's like 3,000 hours and then its lowest one is like 99,
Yeah.
20, 21, kind of stuff like that, right? It's like I kind of I've always sort of wanted to have that one game that I could always go to, but then it's like with these days, it's like kind of to bring back what we were saying at the very beginning of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
It's like there's so many games that have come out this year that's like I want to play those
Yeah.
games. I want to like I like just think about it straight away. Like Resident Evil 4, I think is probably my game of the year so far. Like even though I never played the original, the remake is so good. Then there's that Jedi Survivor, I think it's called, Fallen
Survivor. Yeah, I
Survivor.
think so. Yeah.
Yeah, like I really enjoyed that game. At this point, I'm kind of just waiting for, like I said, Spider-Man, Starfield,
Yeah.
Motorfest. But it's like there's been so many good games. It's like I wish I could get into Zelda.
Yeah.
I'm not a big like Nintendo guy. I've
Neither.
got a
Yeah.
Switch, but it's like I can never really get into Breath of the Wild and stuff. So, but there's so many good games. It's like
Yeah.
and it's all power to people that can actually play just one game. But
I
it's
just
like
get it all
when
of
there's
it.
so many
Yeah.
yeah, when there's so many experiences out there and stuff, and you can afford to buy them, right? It's like why not?
Yeah. I'm the same where like I kind of want to be into one specific thing. I'm like, surely I could be like a fan of something specifically. But like I won't even buy a t-shirt if it's for a specific thing. Even if it's something I like.
Yeah.
I don't like niching myself basically.
Hmm.
Cuz I don't want to be seen as I mean, whatever, really. But it's I wouldn't want to niche myself when there is. I like that I'm so far spread. My girlfriend can bring something up, and I'll just have a bit of knowledge on it. And
Yeah.
she's always like, why do you know that? And I'm like, I don't even remember at this point. It was just one of the things that I must have been into at some point. And gaming is a good one for that because it's such a spread out thing. Like the story games. I mean, I had this thought a moment ago when the conversation was on it with games like just the burn time into like a set amount of time where that's the game you're playing. Games like Spider-Man and Motorfest are kind of the perfect ones for that kind of thing where Spider-Man is a linear story. You play through it. You're not going to be able to do it in one sitting, but you have a bunch of sittings where you play through it and then you can 100% it and everything. You got all the side stuff. You probably got DLCs. You can run through all of that and that'll be like an experience closed off. And then Motorfest, especially if you don't transfer your cars over, you've got the full base game, you've got 15 playlists, you've then got all of the collectibles for each playlist, all of the challenges, all of the feats and the photo ops, and
it's good. Like I feel sorry to interrupt your train of thought, but it's like it's kind of nice to have those kind of where it's like you have that one-off premium kind of experience of a single player game, but you have something that is like you have another game where it's like I wouldn't say it's not premium, right? But it's one that's ongoing, and you're gonna have more. Yeah, like you have something where it's like people look forward to watching those premium kind of things. It's like how people these days were really excited for Barbie and Oppenheimer, right? It's like you've got those kind of really good experiences coming out alongside all the other big movies and stuff coming out. You've got those where you always you remember you'll remember those good ones out of the slop, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's nice that it fills that position. I think live service can be good for that because obviously once you finish Motorfest, you've then got the demo royale, the grand race, but then also the main stage, whatever update is currently going on, and whatever's been added with the most recent updates. So
like when you're buying this kind of game, you're going to get more of it constantly. You're going to get more value for money, which is again that same point of if you want to pay $70 or whatever at launch, up to you. But like that value proposition is going to go up more updates that come out.
Yeah. So. I mean, with me, I was also just thinking because, like I said, not being into one thing. it really is. I am most definitely in a lose-lose situation where within the crew too, like within the space and everything, I am always criticizing it. I'm always fed up with it. I'm always sick of it. I do often talk
you
about.
sound just like Craptastic Jack. Like,
Yeah.
he's always complaining about that game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, hey, when I found out he was happy about Motorfest,
that shocked me. That
Yeah.
shocked me to my core.
But like within the space, I'm always critical of it. I'm always fed up with it. People will ask me on stream, they'll be like, "Oh, Sid, besides the Crew 2, what's your favorite game?" And I'm like, "What do you mean besides the Crew 2? You think the Crew 2 is my favorite game?"
No.
Yeah. It's sort of it's within the space. I'm often sick of it. Again, I'm more of a content head than a car head or even a crew head. I do still love the boys at Ubisoft and all those opportunities and whatnot. Them lot sweet. Motorfest, I love outside of work, but then outside of the space, it's always the crew shill. He's the guy who's always the crew, and he's the shill, and he's the bootlicker and whatnot. And it's like, I don't really care about this game too much, but it's
fair enough.
Yeah, it's because
I guess it's. Oh, I was gonna say, because it's kind of like maybe a bit different. I mean, for me, like I care about the crew, right?
Yeah.
But I think you can tell when certain people have certain preferences towards certain franchises, right?
Yeah,
Like, for me, I mean, not to say I don't care about the crew. I do care about the crew, and I'm really glad to see where it's going. But it's like my biggest one that I care about the most about is Need for Speed.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm most passionate about. Like for
Absolutely.
me personally, like I'm very, very passionate about Need for Speed. I'm very vocal to the developers and stuff. I tell them, hey, look, I like this. I don't like this.
Yeah.
I try not to do it in a way where it's like too critical, but then it's kind of like one thing I really do like about EA is they appreciate you being very vocal. They like even I mean, don't know about sponsored content about that kind of stuff, but in terms of like actually making stuff, like I know for a fact Ghost back in the day, like they emailed me once about one of my reviews and stuff, and they were like very passionate. Like they said, like they can tell that I was very passionate about a thing, and they know like where they want to go. They really appreciate my feedback, and it's, for me specifically, as someone who is a fan that like grew up as a kid just playing those games, I was just like, that kind of really made it for me.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a bit different for some people, some content creators. Like obviously, there's some people that, like, they just make content because it sticks to them, right? But there obviously are people that are fans, and you can tell when people is a fan of the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like Theo is a fan of Need for Speed. You can tell, but then you can tell he only plays Forza because his channel allows it, right?
Yeah.
So it's different strokes kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like I care about the crew. I don't really care too much about Forza, but it's like I do have opinions about Forza that I wish that like maybe it's not as what's the best way to say, like maybe my opinion doesn't matter as much as someone who's a big Forza fan or big The Crew fan, right? But it's like I'm still giving my opinion and being it in a way where it's like I want this game to be a success, right? Like everyone that plays these games wants them to be good. Like,
absolutely, yeah.
Like you're not playing Need for Speed or The Crew or Forza just because you hope it's bad, right? Like, at least I hope not. Like, why would you play a game like that? Why would you pay your money for something like that?
I mean, that's where you see the £70 DLC people, right? It's people who want to write it off as a start, right? Like when I did that criticism of the Unbound pack based on compared to what Crew 2's doing with paid cars, it was, well, you're bringing up the wrong thing because at the start it's a £70 DLC. So then it's like, oh, so you can't criticize anything? Like it's just some way to write it off and want to not enjoy it, you know, compared to the people who like
I'm gonna totally say right now, like that. The fact that it's charging that for those 3 cars for Need for Speed, oh my god! I cannot. Like, look, I love the guys at Criterion, I love the guys at EA, but man, that is such a stupid decision, and I really hope no one buys that. Like, if people that know who I am on watching this video and stuff, please do not buy it. Like, I mean, I am sure I'm gonna get a code for it. Like, again, thanks EA, but that is not something people should pay for. And
It's
the problem
so
is
anti-consumer.
people are going to buy it because it's a nostalgia pack.
Yeah.
Like they want to play with those cars in their game, but it's just such a dumb way of doing it. It's like there were story unlocks in the last game, and now you're charging this. And I had someone comment on that tweet I made saying like, "Oh, well, you can never be happy. You can this is a different game. Like this is different to the last game. That doesn't matter." It's like,
Yeah.
bro, are you reading what you are saying? Like, come on now. Like,
It's when the majority of the work was hitting Control C and V, and then typing a price tag. That's where it becomes very it's anti-consumer is what it is. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, and I totally get. Like, I remember when they first started saying that first. What was it? I think it was the Eclipse in the Crew 2, right?
They
said that was the very.
There was backlash, and they ditched it instantly. Yeah.
Which is good. Like, I appreciate that, but then it's the same with EA, where like, I mean, we don't know what the pricing of these new DLC packs are going to be, but I guarantee they're going to be the exact same, and I hated that. So, I'll put it this way. So this might shock you in terms of pricing in New Zealand, right? So a full price game here costs about $120. But that's converting it from, let's say, like £60 or whatever, right? So a full price next gen game costs somewhere in the realm of like $120 to $140.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there are shops around here that'll sell, let's say, for example, like Spider-Man 2. If you were to buy it on the PlayStation Store, it's 140 New Zealand dollars.
Yeah.
If you were to buy it at, let's say, JB Hi-Fi down the road, it's $110.
Okay.
So that's great. So usually a game like Unbound will cost $110. So those DLC packs, I think one of them, the volume pack, was $8, which isn't too bad. That's not too bad. I think the second one, the one where you get like the 10 speed pass things with it, was $14. But the RX-7, the one that had like the crazy customization, that was 20. It was $25.
Ooh.
Oh,
yeah. 25!
25.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And what was worse about it is not Payback. Unbound was on sale at the time for $35.
Yeah.
So you think about if you paid $10 more, you get a full price game, or you're getting like a car. Like, you can't even customize it. You can put a paint skin on it. That's about it. But I guarantee those new ones that are going to come out are going to cost the exact same price. And
I mean, I will say the Crew definitely doubled back. They did later into the game and I criticized it when it came out. The Pearl Edition and it would have been the RX-8 and the Porsche that I used in that picture. They were just like they are currently still like £6 each, something like that, $6.99 each. And
so that's probably what would that be? That'd probably be like 13, 14.
Yeah,
maybe.
I wouldn't know the currency conversion off my heart, but
roughly.
Yeah. And I mean, I suppose that's the only one in the game at the moment, I guess. And maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't, because they're now buyable in Motorfest. So the big comparison I made was Unbound. And it seems like, I'd say out of the three games, the big three, the Need for Speed, the Forza, the Crew, the three open world races, right? I'd argue the Crew's somehow managing to do it the absolute best, where Forza nuked half its car list to pad their exclusive list for the monthly. Unbound is now bringing back older game cars as paid
DLC.
As paid DLC. It's such an icky decision.
I know, right? Like, as soon as I saw that, like, so ahead of time, sometimes how it works with EA, like, sometimes you get told about what things coming up first. Like, as being in the creator network, it was a lot better back in the day of the Ghost games, because it's like they used to give me a lot of stuff early, or a lot of content creator stuff early, so you can make content of it. These days it's a bit different because the creator network is a bit more open with people. But so they kind of briefly told us about what was going to be coming in the update. Not really, they just sort of said, it's Porsche themed and stuff like that. But I remember waking up, so most of the time whenever they do these sort of posts, it's usually like 3, 4 a.m. for me.
Oh.
And I wake up at like 6, 7 in the morning. So usually if you see a Nobeds post that's kind of late, that's because I've just woken up and just seen it. But when I saw that, and I saw everyone complaining, I was just like, what the fuck is they doing? Like, I don't get it, and I don't know if it's like I feel it's very much an EA decision rather than a Criterion decision.
Yeah.
I think that's what people don't understand with some things with how development
Absolutely.
works.
Yeah.
Like I feel it's more the game publishers trying to make more money off of that product
They need to
than
see
actually the
green to
developers.
justify anything,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah,
like,
and
yeah.
I feel they've done so many poor decisions with some of the post stuff for Unbound, like especially where the M3 and the Waru kit, I think it's called, like
Yeah.
the Fair Lady and stuff, EA Play things, and you have to subscribe constantly for that. It's like I've had to subscribe to EA Play twice to
Is
just try
that where
and
I
use
got
them
the
and make.
Is that where I got the Fair Lady? Because I was on Unbound the other day and
Yeah,
I was like, oh, isn't this just the same asset that was already in the game?
yeah. So that's probably where you got it. What I got it.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't understand, and that's kind of where it's great for for PC users, where they can just sort of mod it in
Yeah.
again. But I mean, when you're selling stuff like that, it makes no sense to me personally. But
Yeah. So
that's just what they got to do, right?
while Unbound's doing that, the Crew Motorfest is removing all paywalls. So the paywalls that were in the Crew 2 were the those two cars, the Pearl and the Carbon. Those were the ones that were £6 each. Now they're just buyable vehicles, and the Motor Pass for a while now, since I suppose you wouldn't know it by name of update, since Forceberg, I believe, the Frosberg update, which
Was that the season 7, or was that season 8?
That would have been after Contractor. That would have been 6, I want to say, because it would have been after
Okay.
American Legends, and then 7. I think you might be right. I think 7 was when they did it. Was
Because
Into
8
the
was
Storm.
because
Yeah.
8 was the F1 Grand Prix one, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. The US Speed Tour cities, and then the big vroom, suck zone vroom one.
Yeah.
That one. And since for a while now, they've been bringing back Motor Pass cars. So what they've been doing is all the old Motor Pass, which very criticized decision to begin with. Now it kind of makes sense where it was like, okay, so they needed working capital for Motorfest, it appears.
Yeah.
But back then, the decision came around, they ditched the microtransaction currency daily challenges, and instead did the Motor Pass, where the Motor Pass now was the main way of them making money, and it was getting these cars. It was a battle pass, is what it was. It was a battle pass.
Yeah.
And what's been happening recently is not only in that same update did they make the Motor Pass buyable for the in-game currency, so that same update made it so that every Motor Pass from then is only time exclusive, not microtransaction exclusive. But they started bringing them back. The Chase, the police ones are all now just in-game cars. Same with the game, the agency, and now the USB tour and
which is
Contractor.
kind of a great way to do it, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like a lot of ways to get people back into it, where if they miss these things. Like I remember, because I was really into it when they first did, like, because I got the Red Fury. I remember that was the very first one that they did.
Yeah.
Summit thing, right? That was the very first one that they did. I remember grinding so hard. I was trying to be the top 3,000, right?
Top
Like I was trying to be
3,000,
one of the
at the time.
I was trying my hardest to be that, and I remember getting that, but Theo didn't. And he was so annoyed.
Damn.
And I think he got the blue one. Well, I can't remember what that one's called.
Dark
That's the newer
Knight
one.
or Black Knight, yeah.
Yeah. And so I remember like we did some videos comparing the two of them, which was really cool. But I like that they had those things, and I can get it to some people where it's like, okay, exclusivity to some people matters, but it's like you also want to make people happy, right? You want to have people to be able to get these things again. It's like, if I didn't play much of the Crew 2, I'd love to be able to get these sort of Motor Pass cars or motor things again, right? Like the Summit exclusive cars. But if they're still exclusive in the Crew 2 to an extent, I guess, then cool, that's fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're bringing all those kind of things over for people that didn't buy them in the first game or second game, I should say.
Yeah.
If they didn't buy them in the last game or they didn't get the chance to earn them, they can get them in Motorfest, which is great.
And it's been an overall pretty good thing, because now they're gonna slowly continue coming back. So all the Motor Passes are being buyable, and the only thing that's remaining is the Summit cars, as they're continuing the Summit, and those Summit cars are also being brought back in the main stage. Like the Rubicon is a Summit car, and that was just being given as a reward in the main stage. So they're still sort of following that same thing, and they're all unique, like customized models, I suppose. Whereas Forza will exclusive lock base model cars, I suppose, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, which
Yeah.
is frustrating.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, like those could never bother to do any of those like festival playlist things in that game. Like
Yeah.
I do not find them enjoyable. There's
Yeah,
something
yeah.
with them where it's like I don't mind doing stuff like that for the summit or if they did anything for Need for Speed, right? Like I've been saying for the longest time, Need for Speed should do something kind of similar to the summit where they do like
That's what I was saying. Like,
like a blacklist kind of thing, right? Like tied into your older games or something, you know, like or challenge series or something. But I could go on for that for ages, so I'll park that for now. But it's like, you know, those festival playlists in Forza, I just did not find any enjoyment out of like, okay, cool, go do this like event thing, and then it spawns 3 other events you got to do, and I'm just like, oh god, I can't be bothered doing that. Or like go do like a stunt jump. I'm like, I don't care, man.
The
This is
gameplay
so
doesn't
boring.
feel engaging at all, really, with that. Like,
it just feels like you're doing recycled sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like I can kind of get it with some summits, right? Where it's like, okay, cool, you're doing like a speed trap down a mountain or a speed trap kind of thing and whatever. But it's like at least it feels somewhat engaging kind of stuff to do.
And each one has like a theme and it has like a color mood now. Nowadays they've got like a color mood. They'll have custom assets and stuff for redoing it.
Yeah. Whereas just Forza, it's just like you're just doing the same shit you've done already over and over again. Like I think from a total of like all the updates I did for Forza Horizon 4, I think I did about 2 of them. I think I got like one Ferrari and like the Apollo, I think it was.
Yeah.
And every time I boot into the game, it's just like I play it every 4 or 5 months. I come back onto the game, I've got the Apollo there, and then out of nowhere I've got like 20, 30 free wheel spins. I'm just like, this is why I stopped playing the game. Like,
that's what sucks, is going back onto a game and then being like, oh, why did I? Surely I could enjoy this again. And then it instantly greets you with why it was bad.
And I'm just like, okay, uninstall.
Yeah.
Like I haven't played. I got the expansions for Horizon 5. Like I remember, like I got the gold pass or whatever it was called, the gold edition for when I got to review the game, and I think because it took so long to get those expansions to come out. Like the first one I think was, God, I can't even remember now. One of them was Hot Wheels, I think, and then I don't even remember what the other one was. Oh, the rally one.
Yeah.
So it took so long for them to put those out. Like I played like 5 minutes of the Hot Wheels expansion, and I was like, nah, I can't be bothered. And I haven't even bothered to play the rally one.
I'm the exact same. I played a bit of Hot Wheels and was like, and then just, I hear it's good, the rally one, but I just can't.
Like that's great. If you really enjoy it, cool. But like, there's just something about those expansions that just like I absolutely loved the Lego expansion in Horizon 4.
Yeah.
I love that one so much. I thought it was so cool, and the progression they did in that. Like I remember raving about it so much at the time, saying they need to make the progression system from the Lego expansion into Horizon 5. And I think they kind of did with the accolade system.
Yeah.
Awesome. But then they just sort of go back on it, and it just becomes the same monotonous Forza Horizon that we've experienced from 3, 4, 5, and I'm just like, just do something differently. And then it's the same with Motorsport coming out. Like I see people tweeting about it. I see AR12 and stuff make videos and tweets about it. I'm just like, I'm looking forward to playing it, but it just sounds like more of the same, and I need something where it's like, cool. That's what I like about Need for Speed, and that's what I like about the crew. You're gonna go into each entry a bit different. There'll be similarities. There'll be like the car list or something like that, sure, but you're going into it mostly for a different experience than the last game. Like, you look at just the crew one, you know, like I was saying before, gritty, street legal kind of stuff. Then you went into 2 being more motorsports and stuff, and now Motorfest being more of a car culture celebration and stuff, festival thing. It's like, sure, maybe Identity Crisis aside, but you know, it's like you're going to get something a bit different from the last game. Surely, I mean, the Crew 2 and Motorfest a bit different of a situation, but still different, right?
I often find it quite cool to see, like, because some of the car models in Motorfest are Crew 1 car models, like the like off-road like builds,
like the rally raid stuff.
Yeah,
right?
rally raid, rally cross, some touring cars. They're original ones from the Crew 1, and that's often cool to see that it's like, this game's come a. It's like they've the crew has really just been a set of tools, as was it what it's been, and they've just used those same tools to tell this same a different type of story every time. Like they've kept like what it went from street, dirt, perf, circuit to street, drift, drag, rally raid, touring car, Alpha GP, to now again another refresh of Street 1, Street 2, planes, boats. Like it's really always just been like a set of tools, is what it's been.
Yeah, because it's like from when I did an article on it not too long ago about the car list, and there's like what 17 different like categories and stuff now for Motorfest.
It's a big chunk. Yeah, it's
yeah.
And they've got like it's a really cool to see the where that has come, the fact that there's original crew rally raid cars with real rally raid cars and original circuit cars with real world GP cars and like GT3 cars, and then same with Rallycross as well, where you've got the Rallycross Fiesta, but then just a Camaro with
like the most randomest looking customization.
That's quite cool.
It's kind of off-putting at times.
Yeah,
like, I was going through like some of the old lists when I was playing the beta, and I was like, it's so weird. Like especially like the Skyline model. I feel the Skyline model looks so outdated as well.
Yeah,
like there's just something to it. Like I tell Theo about it all the time. I'm just like, this does not look like your car. Like it just like there's something about it where it's just so off. Like it doesn't look as square as it usually.
Which ones are from which game, because it'll be like from the car model, really. Like you could start telling when car models were being made for Motorfest, because when the Panamera and Cayenne came into the Crew 2, they were outrageously high detailed compared to the average Crew 2 car model. And you can tell how the models have evolved as well into the point where now it's in the Crew 3 with cars from the Crew 1, right? And I was going to hop back to one thing you briefly mentioned. In the build-up to Unbound on this very podcast, we talked a lot about the main thing. It would be talking about Unbound news, and then it would be like, I'd end it with being like, okay, well, they need a weekly system. I said multiple times where I was like, okay, look, Forza has it, Crew has it, it's the in-between for updates, it's the reason to come back every week to do something. They need a weekly system. And then Unbound launched without a weekly system. It's like, no matter what the type of it, like, even if it's not the summit, like, not even, it doesn't have to be the summit, it doesn't even have to be the seasonal. It just needed something more short-term to go back onto. Because, yeah, you can go on for an update, like the ones that they've been doing, the link-ups and whatnot, which is nice to get new features. Again, like, looking at them for what they are, rather than for what they're not, they are decent in their own regard, except for the largely anti-consumer decisions now being made. But they just needed something more short-term to keep people locked in, right? And like you mentioned, that the wanting it for Unbound, it was notably missing from Unbound when that came out.
I think there was a lot of things notably missing from Unbound, like especially online for the online side of things. So I've been saying, like, if I could probably go back to some of my old like Need for Speed 2019 wishlist kind of things, and then Need for Speed 2021 / now 2022 wishlist kind of things. Like they need content like that, and I think what I've definitely mentioned a lot in one that I'm currently sort of writing up, because Theo made a recent video about 2024 and stuff like that, and so it's gotten me thinking about stuff that I want to see in the next game. And like one of the best things they had with Payback was the abandoned cars. So it was a bit of a weird system at first, where when it first came out, it was there were 6 cars at launch or something, or 6 cars missing from being in the game at launch. Where it was like the RX-7, or there was like some sort of Nissan. I can't remember what the cars were now. This is going back to like 2018 essentially. There were so many cars that were missing at launch, and what they did is they were like, cool, we're going to make a weekly kind of theme about it, where you can find randomly on the map, so it'll be hidden somewhere on the map. If you find it, it'll initiate like a bait crate system, which is what like the pursuits were, because they didn't have any open world pursuits in that game. So it was like you find it hidden in this really cool location, really, really random location and stuff, you take it back to the garage and you get to keep the car. And so that's what they did. Like, so they'd rotate that out for the next like 6 weeks, and then
Yeah.
eventually, once they'd gone through all 6 of those cars that they were meaning to add to the game, they eventually just kept on rotating it for a while, and then eventually they did like exclusive cars where they did
Yeah.
like the police car. They did the I think it was one of the drift cars from I can't even remember what the name of them were anymore, but
Yeah.
they had a lot of exclusive kind of cars, and they had some cool variant cars, and it was so cool to get like the police Victoria, the Crown Victoria, right? That was
Mm.
such a cool thing, and that was a big thing for on the Nobeds as well, because it's like I remember being in Australia at the time and having to like boot up my friend's PS4, install Payback on it just so I could make an article on it, just because I was so addicted to when I was over there.
Yeah.
Um, and it's such a cool thing, but it's also like it gets people excited to get back onto the game. So the fact that they haven't done like anything like that for Heat, they haven't done anything for Unbound other than like weekly challenges that
Yeah.
go towards the speed pass. Like I put so many things saying they need to do stuff like that. They need to do things where it's like you have like a week. Like I remember telling the guy who was running the Need for Speed socials,
Yeah.
the Need for Speed homie or whatever it was.
Yeah.
He was really agreeing with me with stuff where it's like the game needs to have content where it's like you get onto the game and it feels like there's something new you can try. Let's say for example it's like a refresh of a playlist, or it's like you can do like a limited time mode or just something like that, right? Like, and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really want for Criterion to do something kind of like the Summit and kind of like the Festival playlist for the next game. Like, sneak peek of what I was going to say in one of my articles is like they need to do something like the Blacklist, where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, you have like a Summit kind of thing, like called the Blacklist, and you do like 15 kind of challenges, or you like because you know how like the Summit is essentially getting yourself to the top of like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
Like a
the
leaderboard.
top, like a leaderboard kind of
Yeah.
thing. They could so do that with a Blacklist, because
Yeah.
that's what was so cool about like Most Wanted 05, where it's like you're getting yourself to the top of the Blacklist. Just call it literally just be a Summit, but just call it the Blacklist.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that will get people into playing it.
I'm
And just
worried it's got too much of an EA-ism where,
yeah,
like, they made Apex Legends and then shifted half of the dev team onto Star Wars. They made Star Wars and then shifted that dev team. I'm worried that Unbound came out and they went, okay, yeah, and now the next Need for Speed, not clocking on that the racing game industry is so much more what's going on now, more than ever. You know, I haven't seen like a proper single player focused racing game for. I mean, maybe you could consider Unbound single player for at
yeah.
launch. I suppose you could, yeah, but like. It's just that, yeah. I'm worried that they just have that EA-ism of they don't realize that it needs to be kept up week to week, and instead they kind of just like, yep, next game now. Okay, Need for Speed 2025 now, please. Like,
Yeah, like because I will admit too, like I think Need for Speed's the one racing game that's still actually doing like an actual story. You know what I
absolutely,
mean? Like
yeah, yeah,
they're trying to do a single player. They're doing
absolutely,
trying to do this and stuff.
yeah,
But then it's also like I can't really speak for the rest of the community, but it's
yeah,
like I want more of a Need for Speed game where I obviously do want single player,
yeah,
but I want the biggest focus to be on online, because it's like that's where they've been failing for the last
yeah.
like 4 or 5 entries. Like I can trust that they can make a cool single player game. Cool,
Mm,
because obviously Heat was pretty good story wise. Unbound, not the greatest, but it still had a pretty unique structure in terms of the calendar
yeah,
system, right? So I can trust that they'd make a cool single player thing, and what they do for 2024 or 2025, whenever the game comes out, I trust it'll be pretty good. But the thing is, that means nothing to me if the online is going to be the exact same. If it's going to just be
yeah,
the same bare bones system with nothing in it. Like, I'm glad to hear that, you know, I imagine at launch we'll probably have the same stuff that's all coming into the online now. So let's say, for example, the link ups will be in the next game.
yeah,
All the cars that are there will be in the next game. The speeds pass system will be in the next game, probably. I mean, again, I don't know. I mean, maybe
yeah,
they'll pull another fucking EA and just
yeah.
fill half of what they've have already in the last game and then just cut it out even more. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, what I really can't wait for is buying the ASAP Rocky Mercedes for 15.99 in Need for Speed 2024. That's what I'm really hyped to
yes.
do.
The nostalgia pack. The nostalgia pack.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Same with the customized beep beep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well.
I can't wait to buy all of that as for real world money. But you mentioned a thing that I was gonna hop through, but I lost my train of thought on it. You know what? I mean, one thing I was gonna bring up, because you're very into the racing game scene as well, is what I've definitely noticed is there's a now maybe it's every industry, maybe it just is, maybe it's just because I'm in this one. There's definitely a large toxicity problem when it comes to the racing game. It's like everything has to be a binary. It's like, if you like the Crew 2, you're not allowed to like Need for Speed and Forza. And if you like Forza, you're not allowed to like Need for Speed and Crew. And the same with Need for Speed.
I know. I see it all the time. I to be fair, I do my best to just ignore it. I feel most of it is just, if I'm entirely honest, a lot of the people that I see complaining on Twitter, especially the people that just like I just shouting into a void for me personally. Like there's been so many times, and I probably I'm kind of glad that Nobeds is sort of thing that's run by me and Theo. It's not really managed by anyone else, because the amount of stuff I've done on that account, I could get so much shit for, right? Like I remember there was one time a couple of years ago where it was like an Instagram post that I put up. I can't remember exactly what it was. But some guy was complaining and just whining in our DM, so I replied back to him, and I just replied with the most randomest fucking picture of something, just one of those random meme faces, Better Call Saul and stuff like that, something like that. And I just said, I don't care about your feelings or something like that, and he just started going off and off, and he was still in the DMs, and I'm just like, man, I've got this muted now, I don't care, or I feel really rude to people when you can tell English isn't their first language or something, and they'll write the most stupidest thing, or they have a football picture as their Twitter avatar or something like that, right? And you just have you just know they're gonna have the most
anime
dumbest
girl profile picture.
You know they're gonna have the most dumbest toxic takes, and I just reply with the most mundane stuff, and it just ratios the hell out of them. I'm just I love to do that kind of stuff. I do feel there's a sense of me, because I'm such a kind person, I feel kind of rude, but then there's people that wrote the most toxic stuff, and I'm just I don't give a shit, bro.
Yeah, sometimes
you're gonna comment that kind of stuff, just
literally whatever. I'm just okay, literally this is such a non thing. Especially God, now it really sounds like I'm getting old. Especially since I turned 20. It was when I turned 20 that I don't know what happened around January. I would have said I went through a breakup in November, but that's a decent chunk before that as well. Something just flipped in January. I've just been so nonchalant. I'm just so whatever though. It's just, I came to that point where I'm just kind of but who cares? Even for bad decisions, I'm bound. I had so much hope for it. That's where it comes with stick drift, where it's Josh is just a raging pessimist, and I will be I mean, I get it, but whatever.
That reminds me now too. So a lot of the comments I'd always do, it would be the most generic kind of thing, right? People will just post on there. I'll just when did I ask? That kind of stuff. That's what I do, and it would just ratio the hell out of people. And I'm just just because it's bro, I do not care. You can people will say the most toxic things. I've actually started muting people, because I think the worst thing that started to happen on my Twitter feed now is I've started seeing a whole lot of the Xbox and PlayStation console wars, and it's I see it more from Xbox people just going on about how fantastic it is and stuff that's coming out. I'm just man, I don't have that.
I had to do that with my Twitter For You page, where I love going on it just to see what does Twitter want me to be angry about, and then I look at it, laugh, and go whatever.
I just see things on there that I'm just why are you you guys are in your 30s and 40s.
I can't imagine caring
your late
that
20s.
much. That's the thing. I can't imagine caring that much.
I will admit, back in when I was 14, 15, I was actively quite a console war kind of PS3 versus 360 kind of thing, right? And then I grew up, and I just realized I do not care. I see some funny memes about the PS4 and Xbox One and stuff like that. When they first came out, I remember I was in some gaming group in Facebook around the time the Xbox One and PS4 came out, and I made some posts where I was I just got an Xbox One for Christmas. I guess my family doesn't love me or something like that. And it was just like a harmless joke. You just watch as people just shit themselves. And like I used to just troll like that kind of stuff. Now these days I'm just like I do not care. Like I don't like personally I don't own an Xbox Series X or anything like that. But that's because I play most of my Xbox games on PC.
Yeah.
But I for the longest time I was tempted to buy an Xbox Series X or S because it's quite useful and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mainly just like I've got a PlayStation to play my PlayStation games. I've got a PC to play the best Xbox kind of games I can.
Yeah.
Like the whole reason I'm going to be upgrading my PC is because I want to play Starfield at the best thing, and that's an upcoming exclusive.
Yeah.
Semi-exclusive, right? So it's like when you've got the time and you've got like when you're old enough and stuff, it's like console wars and shit like that. It's just so pointless and mundane.
It's so Even with, I can complain about the crew, I can complain about whatever, I can really like the crew, I can whatever, and yet at the end of the day, I'll still go outside. Like, it's just...
Yeah, exactly. Go touch some grass.
Exactly. It's like, especially, I've definitely liked that with having this whole side of everything just be work, because it's like, I can, like, talk about it, and then lay in bed, watch TV, or go see my girlfriend, or go out with my mates and whatever, and it's not for a moment on my mind because it's just such a whatever.
Right. It's in the background. It doesn't really matter. It's like just whatever.
It definitely happens. It's unfortunate how everywhere it happens. Like just sort of well this game is this and this game is this. Again I can't imagine Karen. I will. I can tattle a little bit actually. It would indeed be me tattletaling a tad. I don't really know who manages it or whatever, and I did get a bit of a giggle out of it. In the Nobeds server, there was, way back when, like a year or two ago, there was a spout where, obviously it's a very, Nobeds, Black Panther, Need for Speed focused, Discord server.
Yeah.
And I remember I was in it way back, like 2 years ago. I was probably at like 10k, barely 12k. And I was just in the server and in the crew chat. I'd every now and then put an emoji. And someone brought me up, like someone just said, oh, SidWaj, and then someone else said SidWaj. And then one of the mods just started like Googling me and slating me out of nowhere, just going at me. And then I replied to it, and then there was a big spout, and it was just like, well, you play the crew. And I was like, I mean, I'd play anything else. It's my job. And it's like, well, you play that. And then, even recently, I came back to it after that whole spout, because I just didn't say much, so I didn't really care. It's at like one of the lower down on my server list. I rejoined. I became regular average Nobed server goer. Every now and then it'll be like I think the first time I got in there and someone else mentioned, oh, why is he not verified? And I was kind of like, whatever, I guess. I don't really mind being or not. And they were like, oh, he hasn't applied, whatever. And then it was like, oh, well, he makes crew 2 content, bloody. And I'll be like, yeah. That's kind of sucks. Yeah. Yeah. And then literally just the other day, actually, the same guy who was defending the nostalgia pack, and his cope was like, oh, well, they brought back an exclusive car as buyable in Unbound or something, and oh, but you can't complain because crews are £70 DLC. He went into the server, into the server, just like, was like, I'm arguing with the Sid guy. And then the same mod who had just randomly started slating me out of nowhere, unprompted, way back when, was just like, oh, I know that, whatever insult. I replied, all right, fella, skull emoji. Yeah. I got banned! Right, well, I got banned!
I'll tell you right now. So, and this might sound a bit bad from me, right?
Don't worry, man.
I don't even use the Nobeds Discord. Like, I will put it that way. To be perfectly honest, I mean, this is the first time I've used Discord in a while. Like, I actually had to log in to my Discord to be able to do this for the just because I used to really love using Discord back when it first came out. But then I think around 2018, 2019, I sort of just I just didn't find it really enjoyable to use for me personally. Like, there's
For me,
something
it's
with it
mostly
where
business. Like, yeah.
yeah, which is fair enough. Like, I mean, whenever me and Theo and all of us do like some videos and stuff together, we'll join like we won't join a Nobeds Discord,
Yeah.
but we'll join like a little small one that we've had for like forever. It's just literally like us in it. But it's like I never really cared too much about using the Nobeds Discord.
Yeah.
Not to sort of slant my own brand.
No,
but it's
obviously, yeah.
but it's like it's run a bit differently, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be decently, but not very active in my own Discord server, the SidWaj Discord.
Yeah.
I'll be
like it's more for the community, right?
Yeah.
It's more for them to do stuff rather than like for us to get involved. And I don't really know the mods too well. I know some of them who they are, but like, it's just more like they like me, Theo, Matthew, Cash, Rahul, we all have our own lives and stuff like that. So
exactly,
it's kind of like it's kind of just like we give the mods some power, and they're like, cool, they love us and stuff, and
yeah.
So, I'll have to talk to Theo about that.
I mean, again, it's whatever. I saw it, I giggled a little, and I was like, oh, whatever, and I went back to editing.
Yeah.
It was just that one mod just real angry. Definitely a bit of a toxicity problem. A lot of them are chilling. The head mod as well. I talked to him a few times, discussed a few things. He's chilling. Most of the people are chilling, but I noticed in my own Discord as well. I have to tell them off in my own Discord because someone new will join and they'll ask like an innocent question. But in reality, no one really cares about the crew, so they'll give ironic answers. I have to be like, okay, fellas, I get it. Haha, funny. Don't be mean to the new people, though. Like, it's everywhere, and it's just, it's unfortunate that,
I think toxicity is just a thing that just has become... it's a lot more prevalent these days, like I've noticed. I feel it's a lot of like people being inside after COVID and stuff, right? Where it's like, a lot of people just on the internet constantly and stuff, and you get sort of two sides of people, right, after how COVID's gone, where it's like you start to realize, oh crap, I've aged 2-3 years, I want to go and do more things, I want to do this kind of stuff. And then you get people that have just become like internet warriors and just will not leave their... like I see a lot of people, even ones that I follow, just talk about, like I won't name names and stuff, but it's like, I see them just like, they'll quote tweets things and just complain, and they'll maybe get like 1 or 2 likes and stuff. Like there was one in particular that I follow that all he does is just like talk shit about Theo and like how proud he was that he was blocked. And I'm just like, I follow you, right?
Yeah.
Or like you follow me as well. I'm just like, why are you like... It just sounds so stupid, but it's like I just don't have the energy to reply to it because I just get stuck into like chains and chains of this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I just mute you or I just ignore it and just move on because it's like...
It's like watching a car wreck, right? It's like, like I checked back in between that stint where I wasn't active in there. I checked back at one point, and it was when like the Goosiest collab that I did, and it was just someone put that and was like, this fucking SidWaj guy, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. I was like, it's interesting to look at it and be like, damn, really? And then whatever. Like I imagine like the guy who's just blindly slating Theo. It's like I see it in not even for game based, like even creator based. I'll get comments that'll be like, oh my god, you're so better than Black Panther. I'm like, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like,
making these comparisons, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the main thing I say.
We all exist to make content, and we're not trying to be one up each other, right? Like
exactly.
The same. Like Theo, AR12, Straight Up Hippo, all these guys, right? It's like we're all here to just make content and stuff.
A rising tide raises all boats. It's
collabs do better than just being against each other. Right?
Yeah. And it's so dumb. Like there was someone in that server who, in the Nobeds server, who was like just some random guy who he didn't like. He was slating him. And then he was like, Black Panther's so much better. And it's like, and I thought to myself, I was like, do you think Theo wants you to be blindly just going, and Black Panther's so much better than everyone else? Like, I don't want
Theo
people
does not
to...
know. Like, Theo doesn't even know who you are, little bro. Like, just calm.
Like, I find it insanely cringe when people will be like, and Black Panther sucks, and SidWaj. He's like, what do you want about? Like, I don't want you to do this. I'm sure they don't if you're defending them. It's just like there's such a... The way I put it is like, you can put someone up without having to put someone down. Like...
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's all well and good saying, "Oh, you guys are my favorite YouTubers and stuff," but
Yeah.
I prefer. But you saying stuff like, "Oh, I prefer you over him" or whatever, it's like that doesn't really do much, right?
It's like
cool,
okay,
you can have preferences, but...
yeah, but then it's like, and he sucks, and you suck, and this guy's better. Yeah. It's like, yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, but then again, you want to imagine most of these people writing these comments are like 14, 13, or something like that. Like, sure, understandable, right?
It's when yeah.
Oh, I was gonna just say, like, it made me have a thought before, right? Where like, when we were like in school and stuff, you'd watch certain YouTubers and stuff like that. Like I remember being religiously obsessed with like the Smosh and stuff back in the day, right?
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder like what it's like in school these days for like little kids and stuff that watch like Mr. Beast and stuff. Like my dream when I was a kid was not to grow up to be a YouTuber, right? But then it's like I want to imagine how big of a thing YouTube is these days. It makes me really wonder what like a primary school like when you first start school, what kids are like these days in terms of how like what games they like and what sort of things like it makes me think like say when I was in primary I was like religiously loving like Ratchet and Clank and Sly and all those kind of games, right? And Need for Speed Underground, those kind of games. I didn't even really think, because obviously YouTube wasn't really a thing back when I was in like primary school, but I want to imagine now like school kids are probably like they're watching Mr. Beast constantly, or they're watching like their favorite content creators, and like I want to become a content creator like this person. I want to become this person.
And when drama becomes so like prevalent, and it's like, well, I believe this guy, and this guy sucks, and this guy's bad, and whatever. Yeah, it's like you don't hear as much about a big collab as you do. Did you hear these guys are arguing? Like
you'd imagine all the primary school kids and like it's like, oh, did you hear about the beef between FaZe Clan? And it's like, who the hell cares? Like
like it's like I talk about the latest Digimon episode. What are you talking about? Like I can't imagine being so intertwined.
Do you remember that episode? Like do you remember that episode when Ash got like frozen in Pokemon and stuff like that, or whatever it was, or like these Yu-Gi-Oh episodes where they edited on like to be continued. That's the kind of stuff I'd be talking about.
Exactly.
Or like, did you watch Tokyo Drift? Like that just came out in the cinemas. It's like, wow, okay.
When everything has to be so divided, it's just a bit whatever. Like even like I was saying with my Twitter For You page, it can't decide is the thing. Now I'm just whatever, so I've started clicking not interesting. I've had to go to the point where I'm blocking people because they still show up there.
I think see, I used to block people, but muting them is so much better because it's like
they don't like that.
Muting is kind of like they don't see that you're blocked, but like you don't see anything from them. So it's like, so they wouldn't have a clue, so they can keep commenting whatever they want, but you're not going to see it. So that's literally just putting them into their own personal hell. So it's like that's like what I do. I just
the old talking to the wall emoji, right? That's where they
like that.
Like I remember I went on and it would show me something like completely far right, and I'd be like, that's dumb, and then move on, and then something completely far left, I'd be like, that's dumb, and then move on, and then it can't decide. And like it's so dumb. It's so odd. It's with everything, not even just politics or whatever. I'm just so both sides are wrong. Be a decent human being. Get on with your life.
Like the thing at the moment. So we've got an election coming up here soon for the next prime minister and the next party or whatever, right? I do not give a crap about politics. Like I just cannot focus it like at all. But I'll be at work with a whole bunch of people that are in like their 30s and 40s, and they'll be talking about it at the lunch table, and I'm just sitting there like scrolling on Twitter, just like like my Twitter feed is just like, oh, cars, all girls, okay, all right, ooh, just go past all this kind of stuff, and then I'll just hear them talk like, what do you think? I'm just like, I don't really care, eh? I'm just here for like to eat my lunch and go back to work. Like, I do not care, man.
My extent of it will be like, well, this decision I heard about was dumb. Moving on, like it'll just be, well, this nuanced specific thing, dumb as hell. That's it. That's where it ends. It's like I can't be bothered to sit here and be like, and everyone who's on that side is this. I've decided actually.
Like we have such limited time. Why invest that time into something like this?
Absolutely.
I mean, like politics, I guess, is a bit of a different story because it kind of changes how
it affects a bunch of stuff. I think to a nuanced level, you definitely can. Like, I can't imagine word for word taking what someone else believes in politics. It's like, to a nuanced level, yeah, politics does have a bit of an effect when it's like, okay, what should be done about this, right? Like, but anything arbitrary, like a console war, as we discussed, right?
Yeah.
And to be so adamant about it, and they're all terrible, goofy.
It's just like I just have no energy. I have no time for that. Like, cool, when I was a kid or when I was like younger and stuff, sure. But nowadays I'm just like, I barely have enough time for myself. I'm not giving you any of my like negative energy or something like that. Just like toxicity in general. I see it. I just do like the typicals, like, when did I ask? Kind of just give like a dumb response, or just like ignore it entirely and just, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like I had someone complaining, I think I just mentioned as well, like, about complaining on one of my posts and stuff about things, and I'm just like, man, I don't care. Like, I really don't. I really don't.
That's what it is. It's just like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it gets really sad when it's actually, no, yeah. First, what were you gonna say?
Oh, well, one, I think last year it was, where someone kept on spamming like my account and like just kept on making new accounts constantly. I'm just like, how do you have the time for this? Like, I made some comment or something, right? And they just kept on like spamming like my PlayStation profile or something like that, and they were just, I didn't even know why they were just spamming it, and just, or like spamming like random like inappropriate pictures. And I'm just like, bro, why have you got the time to keep making, like, generating new accounts? Like, I just ignored them at first and just blocked them, or muted them, I should say, put them into the void and stuff. But then eventually, like, one of the, like, it was such a weird experience, right? Like, I replied to him, I'm just like, I literally just said, it's like, how many more of these accounts are you gonna make? And he, like, when he got a response from me, he was just like, oh, I'm gonna stop now. And then I haven't seen him again. I'm just like,
yeah.
What the hell was the point of that then? You were just wanting a comment from me? Like, you could say so many different things and I could give you a nice comment, right? Like, maybe you're unloved and stuff like that, but, you know,
that's not, like, there must be nothing else going on in your life to be at that point. Like, I think it's what I was gonna say is it gets really, really sad when, obviously, and again, at the end of the day, it's still like, okay, whatever, but it gets really, really sad when it begins to cross those lines, where Black Panther talked about it recently. I've talked about it a little bit. I guess we could probably talk about it because it's one of the aspects that we haven't talked about. TDU, Alex Evans got on it recently. It's when it starts crossing those
racism lines.
Yeah, that's when it starts to get really sad.
When I saw the stuff that Alex was getting, like, I can't believe that. Like, just being racist over his comments of TDU. Like, that man loves TDU. I can see it, the amount of passion he's got for it. And then the fact that, like, the same people that were being very toxic before, they were commenting on how he's driving and stuff and the thing. It's like, I've been to Gamescom, right? Like, I went to Gamescom back in 2019 with Heat, right? So that was such an incredible experience. It was incredible to just be there, right? And then trying to record like a bit of Heat gameplay, right? I was playing like shit because I've not played the game. Like, this is the first time I've jumped into the game. I was crashing into everything, right? You watch Alex, who's been put into a thing with Theo and a whole bunch of the developers, right? Yeah. He's in a live presentation thing of him needing to do this. He knows it's going to be a video that, I mean, obviously it's pre-recorded, but it's going to be viewed by millions and millions of people. And they start bringing up his race. They start bringing up how he's driving. I'm just
away
like,
from the monitor as well. I know I need to be Nick Merckx in it when I'm playing. Like,
like, I'm just like, why are these so small criticisms? It's like. Like, if I'm entirely honest, his content on it has sold me more on the game, because, like, as far as I've seen, like, that game literally did not exist until I started seeing that gameplay, because it's like, it's literally just been concept art after concept art for the last 3 years, or whatever it's been, right? Like, I remember making articles on it back in, like, 2018, when Nakon, or wherever it was, first bought the license and stuff. So I was making content about, like, when Nakon acquired them, or whatever it was, and KT Racing, and how they're doing their things. And it's just been like, for the last, I don't even know, like, a couple of years, it's just been nothing but concept art. So to actually see gameplay from both Theo and from Alex, it was incredible. Yeah. It was really good. And then, again, now people have just spread it into, like, a whole bunch of racism towards them and stuff like that. It's just like, I get it, too. I mean, I guarantee you, if I was a black content creator, I'd be getting it as well. I almost can guarantee it. Like, not to say white privilege or anything, but just like I guarantee.
No, it's like you wouldn't. It's like as a default, I suppose you wouldn't. It's
yeah.
It's just like as a default, it wouldn't be a thing that would happen, right? You probably would still get large amounts of toxic. You probably still would get large amounts of toxic, large hatred.
I get it more.
Yeah,
like, I get it more on what my physical appearance rather than my skin color.
I'm sure
right?
AR12 still gets toxic things, but then it's like, you know, when it comes into black content creators, Middle Eastern content creators, any sort of ethnic content creators, it's like it's just an extra big old card in the deck, right? That introduces itself.
And they just swap out. Okay, I can't really think of any creative. N-word. You know, it's just like oh man, like.
It's like I had the other day this one. Now it's rather sad that I find this rather funny. I think it's part of the fact that I'm so just whatever nonchalant with it. But like I got this message in my DM request. I don't share a server with this guy. He searched out my Discord to DM me this, right? I'm like, I opened it. I just burst out laughing. To clarify for the podcast, this is just slur, more derogatory, and then acts of unaliving. It's so nonsensical. It's not. It's really funny.
Hey, he could be German, so instead of it being that, it could be the, not die. It could be the.
That's true. But under the truck, you know.
But it doesn't quite excuse the other words that are above that are very clearly not German.
The thing is, I'm Pakistani. He's not even used the right slur. Like it's like. But it's
or like people going, "Oh, you're an Indian." Is like, no, I'm not.
Yeah,
like,
exactly right. It's like and it's never a game of top trumps. It's like, well, I have to deal with this, and you don't have to deal with this. But like, you know, with brown content creators as a whole, there's a lot of, I imagine, a large part with black content creators as well. There's a lot of, hello, insert successful brown content creator. So it'll just be, hi, Vic Star, just like as a default, right?
That actually reminds me a lot. So there was a content creator years and years ago. I remember it was like in those gaming groups of stuff, right? He was a black guy. He was called Hard 8 Times. A very, very niche person that I guarantee you never would have heard of him. But he was one of these where it's essentially like he got joys out of just not picking on people, but like he'd make gaming content, but he'd be very like from the hood kind of person and stuff like that. And I remember a couple of years ago, or maybe even recently and stuff. So some of the other content creators that he would make gaming content on, or even like Theo, right? I think he like would target them going, I was like, oh wow, how come you're a black content creator that can be successful and not me? It's like, buddy, it's not really about being black. It's about making the content that people want to watch. It's like the reason you're not successful is because you're making content that's like hating on consoles, or you're hating on other people, or you're picking up you're dragging other people down. And then you just go, oh, well, they're black and successful. How come I'm not? It's like, well, look at the content they're making. Look at what Theo is making. Look what Thickstar and stuff are making, right? It's like, just because that's the color of their skin doesn't mean that's what their content is. And it's like, cool. I'm like, you know, it's very good that they're making that content and they're you know, whatever, right? But it's like, you know, when you start turning it into about race, it's like
it always comes out of nowhere. It just comes out of nowhere. Like, I remember a hot minute ago there was a big old discussion with KSI of the Sidemen used the P word slur, the abbreviated term for Pakistani, right? And I remember it came about, and I just remember thinking like, because I felt like I needed to say something. I didn't want to make a big deal of it, like be like, well, I'm also a Pakistani. I think I put it at the beginning of a Reddit video. I think I was like, hey, look, guys, I wouldn't put this in a regular video. It's a Reddit video. I just wanted to at least say a piece. It was like 2 weeks late as well. And it was more so just that, like, I was unfazed, and it was the fact that I was unfazed. It's the fact that, like, I didn't want to... I was gonna
say, just like, I mean, there's a lot of like slurs and stuff out there and stuff, and it's like there are ones that I mean, obviously the N word's a bit different, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I can get into so
Absolutely.
many different territories, so I'm obviously not going to say whatever, right? But it's like, there are some out there that's like, it definitely unphases. Like, you hear this word all the time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say the N word and stuff
Yeah,
like that, but
yeah.
it's just like, but it's very like catch-22 where it's like, okay, like the P word, right? For people like that, it's like, okay, it maybe doesn't affect you, or it does affect you. I don't know, you know.
I mean, you see the
But you're unfazed by
memes.
it.
You see the
Yeah,
memes of it, right? Where it's like losing an argument online, and then it's
yeah,
it's the meme of going down to press the key, right? It's
yeah, yeah.
it's
And so
just
it's just
such a
like,
default. Mm.
yeah. And I think that's what people just default to, and they go, okay, cool, I'm gonna spam as many of these slur words, and it's gonna get under your skin. And it's like with Theo, like he tells me all the time, it's just like, I did not give like a single shit if people call me this or whatever. It's like I don't care. Like,
I
I mean,
laugh.
hell,
Like I
I've
can.
been like I was gonna say, I mean, hell, surprisingly, I've been called slurs before,
Yeah.
but it's all like joking kind of stuff, like, you
Yeah.
know, oh, you're a white cracker or something like that, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like that does not bother me at all because it doesn't even sound like a bloody slur, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but then when you start seeing stuff like online and stuff about like, you know, the P word or just some
Hmm.
other like the N word and shit, it's just like the fact that people have to default to that, it's just like,
Yeah, I find it so funny, which is sad. I can admit it's
hmm,
sad, but I find it so, yeah, it's so nonsensical often. Like, I mean, it's really cool to see that there is such a large amount of, I mean, you know what? It's when I come into the fact where it's like, I can't be bothered with any kind of side of politics or anything, because even sitting here being like, it's nice to see that the racing game like content creator space is rather diverse, but even that
hmm.
sounds like then it goes to the opposite end where it's like, oh, it's yay, it's diversity, yay. Like it's like everyone's
It's
really
woke,
cringe.
it's
Yeah,
woke, you know.
yeah, it's like one of the big funnies that I've had recently is I love just I love just doing the parody of going, no, Woker Fest,
Yeah.
no, go Woker Fest, go Broker Fest. But
I feel half the people that say woke don't even know what it means.
it's
Like if you
so
tell it
hilarious.
like it's so funny. Like I
Yeah.
told people at work that I went to go see Barbie, and they were like, "Oh, why'd you go watch that? It's anti-men, it's woke." I'm just like, oh my God, do you even
It
know
was
it?
just a
Do you
it was a
like you're
silly doll movie. Like
I went to watch it literally because Ryan Gosling's in it. I don't care about anything else. That's all the like. It's
yeah,
literally me. Like
that's
I
the
don't
thing.
care.
Exactly. I couldn't begin caring is the thing, right? It's like everything's so much more nuanced than everyone paints it out to be. And
Hmm.
yeah, it is definitely sad. I mean, yeah, it's nice to see that there is just as a general thing, right? Like it's like I didn't see. It's weird because again, it's like I don't want to fall into those cliches of being like, well, I didn't see someone like me be successful, but yeah,
Yeah.
it was like I didn't see many brown people like me be that like ragingly successful in the social media industry
Hmm.
without being slammed with those stereotypes and whatnot. And it's nice to like,
Yeah.
hey, I've built something here. I can imagine it would be the same with Theo. I can imagine
Hmm.
it definitely adds a bit of like, you know, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
I still managed it, you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like at the end of the day, it nothing really matters other than your content.
Exactly,
Like I
exactly.
want to say like it's like if people are having to default, okay, cool. Doesn't matter. I don't care about this content creator. He's just black or something. I'm just gonna say this word, or he's
Yeah.
Chinese or Asian or something, right? I'm gonna call him this. It's just like that's just the natural thing that people have to deal with, unfortunately. And
I
I
mean,
get it's like it's great that it's like at least for most like I want to say some communities don't really experience it too much. Like well, much, right? But maybe that's the weird way of saying it. But like, I, I want to imagine if you're actually someone that's in the racing game community, you do not
yeah.
care about this kind of stuff at all. You're
Yeah,
just sort
yeah,
of just
yeah,
making
yeah.
your content, you're doing this kind of stuff, and you love them for who they are. And I guess it's kind of good, even like now that I'm bringing up like Barbie and stuff, right? That there's a lot of stuff out there. Like there's a lot of content creators. There's a lot of things where it's like people can look up to them, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, he's just like me, right? It's kind of like the whole mantra of that Barbie movie was like,
Exactly,
a
exactly.
lot
Yeah.
of girls can look up to Margot Robbie's Barbie or something, right?
Yeah.
So people can look up to that, and I guess that's kind of like if they can do it, I can do it. If there's
Exactly,
someone
yeah.
of this, yeah, it's like how so many people look up to Miles Morales and stuff, like, you know, a black superhero, right? You know, people look up to this kids, like black kids and stuff growing up, look up to Miles Morales and stuff as like a big icon, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, they can see that for content creators. It's like if someone like this, he's the same nationality, he's the same ethnicity as me, he can do this, then it gives me hope that I can do it too.
Exactly.
And I guess that's what, like, you want to focus on the more positive things rather than just like, oh, you know, some random white guy or some whatever is just calling me this and stuff.
The thing is, you can do both as well, right? It's like people will Ryan Gosling and be like, literally me, when Ryan Gosling's just generic white guy, right? And any race of person can be, a guy can be like, that's literally me. But then also have someone who, like, I don't know, it's truly whatever at the end of the day. It truly is. But it's really nice when, because I know how I grew up in a South. You know what? They changed what I'm called at some point. I was Middle Eastern, I blinked, and now I'm South Asian, I think. Like,
I think so. I think that's how it works.
Yeah, I think I'm South Asian, right? Growing up in a South Asian family, a traditional family in a Western country, and then seeing people, like, no matter what the race of who I can inspire, right? No matter what the race, it's so great to see. But when it's someone who is like, yeah, I am also from Pakistan, I'm also this, I'm also this, I'm like, it's just a bit of, damn.
Well, I mean, like, not to sort of add to that, like, because obviously I'm more like just a white guy, but it's like I'm from New Zealand. Like, I'm from a small country. There's only like about 3-4, actually now, like 5 million people that live here, right?
I still imagine
it feels
it's cool
kind of good,
to see
like
someone from New Zealand do a big thing. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like it was so cool. Like to be involved with like Need for Speed content creation and stuff like that. To be able to go to Gamescom to do that kind of stuff. It's like I don't know many people. Like I don't even know any content creators in New Zealand, right? Like there probably are. I'm sure there are, but I don't really know any. It's so small of a place. Where it's like, I mean, a lot of the content creators I know are probably Australian, essentially, because Australia is such a bigger place. Like you see a lot of the big players from like Fortnite, like Muselk or whatever his name was, creator and
Laserbeam,
Laserbeam,
Viper is also one, I suppose. Like,
so it's like I don't know anyone like that in New Zealand. So it's like, sure, I'm nowhere near kind of the size of Laserbeam or whatever, right? But it's also quite nice that it's like I'm a content creator from a small country and I can do big things. I've been able to go to places because of who I am, because I make content, and it makes me feel like I'm like not like a celebrity, but it makes me feel like cool. Like
it's a cool thing, I mean,
like it's a really cool thing, and it's like I can inspire people to somewhat be like that. Of course, I am nowhere near like a big YouTuber or you know, even some of your size, essentially, because I just really just make content on the side, and most of who follow me are from Theo's side, right? But it's still quite nice that it's like I have kind of like my own following, and I'm from a very small country. I'm from a place where it's like not many people know of who I am and stuff like that, or know of us and stuff. It's just it's a cool feeling, right?
Yeah.
It's maybe not as inspirational as obviously other things, but
that's the beauty in it, that it doesn't even have to be anything to do with like race or anything. It's just like
just who you are, right?
It's like when like you see on the news, no matter the race, right? A construction worker wins the lottery. I can imagine construction workers be like, "Oi, let's go! Right,
I'm gonna buy a ticket now."
Yeah, you know, it's it doesn't have to be anything to do with race, is what it boils down to, and that's the beauty of it, you know. But I was gonna say that one thing that we really didn't touch on, I suppose, is TDU when it comes to that. When it comes to because obviously that's gotten a lot of backlash and whatnot, and I suppose that is in the racing game circle. I think I've come to a point where I'm like, okay, I think it would still be the big three, where it's Forza, Need for Speed, Crew, and then I think TDU's doing its own thing, really, with indicators, with the rolling windows down and stuff like that. Even Crew ditching houses, but TDU obviously still having them. It's like TDU's doing its own thing. But what's your take on the whole TDUing that's happened recently?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to say. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm very much interested in it. Obviously, I try to cover it as much as I can whenever we get news about it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where it's like, I'm very much looking forward to it. I want to imagine, from early 2024, the release date, I want to imagine it'll probably come out in like February or March, which, if so, that'll be great because I remember actually TDU 2 came out on my 14th birthday.
Oh.
So it'll be so it came out like February 11th. So it'll be really cool if it's like comes out February sometime around my birthday. But like it'll be cool to have a racing game come out around my birthday again.
Yeah.
Just awesome. But I don't know, like with TDU, like I'm cautiously optimistic for it.
Yeah,
And I've been like that for quite a while where I'm very excited for it. It's got some cool things and I love that we're getting a new TDU game. Like just it's cool because I really enjoyed TDU 2.
Yeah.
And in the fact that it's being developed and led by a lot of the key people that used to work on those games is great. But it's one where I can understand why people are so cautiously optimistic for it.
Yeah.
And I can also kind of see why people maybe criticized Alex about like how hyped he is and stuff like that. Because I get it. Like he got to go out and play it and stuff. He got to see this thing, right? But at the same time, I trust Alex's opinion. I trust Theo's opinion on these kind of things, right?
It's unfortunate that it taints it a little bit. Like I know that. Soon I'm going to be doing a video where I'm like, okay, this is absolutely everything I really don't like about Motorfest. But, like, every time I praise the game, it's unfortunate that it is kind of tainted because, like, I mean, I know that I'm still going to not like something if I don't like it and like it if I do like it. But because I've gotten this early access and I've gotten all of this stuff, that it's like, oh, well, crucial, But,
yeah. I mean, because I tried that with Need for Speed as well. Like, there's a lot of things I'm very vocal where I say I don't like and stuff as well. And I'm sure with TDU, if I was given opportunities like that, I obviously will focus on saying, good stuff first. But there will obviously, like, you got to talk about the bad things and everything will sort of...
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think there's some really cool stuff that's coming for TDU. Like, I love the fact that it's a 1-to-1 sort of scale of the map.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hong Kong as a location is super unique. Like, I've wanted like an Asian sort of map for a while. Like, I mean...
It seems like the racing game industry has been very afraid of going anywhere East Asian.
Like, I mean, like the amount of people that want like a Need for Speed in Japan or Forza in Japan, like, I can kind of understand why they don't do it just because of the sake of, like, it's such a big... I wouldn't say a big risk, but it's one of those where it's like, it's a lot safer to make a city based on something like San Francisco or Chicago or Las Vegas or all those kind of places, right? When it's like, there's so many companies that sort of, I wouldn't say work there or like work in those areas, but it's like you have much better knowledge of how to sort of structure a game around those places.
Exactly.
Japan, I can kind of understand because there's obviously a big car culture scene and stuff, but it's one of those where if you don't get it right, the people in Japan will hate you for it, kind of thing.
The thing is, I think Japan is too hyped as well, right? And this is where my perspective comes on a Japan game, like Japan Forza, right? If, say, Forza Horizon, what would it be, 6? Say Forza Horizon 6 is Japan, right? Forza, known to be in a point where it's rather similar every year, right? Say that Forza Horizon 6 is Japan, Forza Horizon 7 comes out, everyone within a month is gonna be like, this sucks, I'm going back to Forza Horizon 6. Forza Horizon 8 could come out, and they'll go, this sucks, I'm gonna go back to drive around in the Japanese one. It seems people are way too much tied to Japan than a good game in Japan, right?
Yeah,
that's
where
the issue lies. Yeah, like if Need for Speed did Japan, I imagine that one would be one where it's like, I'm gonna go back to this one, actually, I decided.
Yeah, well, there was a similar situation with, like, Payback and Heat. Like, everyone seemed to, like, I remember when Payback came out and they didn't like it, everyone went back to 2015.
Yeah.
And same with Heat. So many people didn't really like Heat at launch, or they did like Heat, but they still went back to 2015 because that's what people sort of associate with wanting to be Need for Speed.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, like...
I mean, I believe Heat has more concurrent players than Unbound currently.
Yeah. But then again, I also got to imagine with Heat, part of the reason was when the game was about Unbound was about to come out. I think they offered it for like $1 or
it was very cheap. Yeah,
it was like very cheap.
Yeah,
so like that does kind of skew it a bit, but at the same time, it's like people like I can see why people will go back to older games because it's like, okay, I had a better experience playing this game. Ironically, I didn't really see anyone go back from Heat to payback, but
Yeah.
that's another thing.
Yeah.
But a lot of people went back to 2015, right? And so I can almost see like if we get like a bad game, they'll go back to this one.
So it's definitely a big
or
thing that TDU's doing. Like
yeah,
finally an East Asian map. Yeah.
yeah. Like I'm very excited to have that map. I'm hoping they do it justice. I'm sure they
Yeah.
will, but it's so like that. I think that adds the uniqueness to the game,
The
and also the fact that
USP,
they
I suppose. What it offers on its own is it's got the indicators and the windshield wipers or something
yeah,
and stuff like that,
like
and
I
one-to-one
mean,
map.
considering how long it's been taking to come out, it's also a kind of an indicator where it's like, it's not trying to go up against Forza Horizon or trying to go up against The Crew or Need for Speed. I think it's just trying to go up against just the expectation of the test drive
Yeah,
franchise.
yeah,
They want people like Alex and people like Theo or like people like us or whatever, like people who have played the originals and stuff, to enjoy it for what it is and
yeah.
just capture that test drive unlimited feel rather than churning out a game that's like, I mean, because it's been delayed like how many different times now? Like it was meant to
Like
like it
two
was
or
meant to come out
three.
like it was
Yeah.
meant to come out, I think, what,
It
September
was September
2022.
last
And
year. Yeah,
yeah,
and
like
then
they
it was
had
some point this year, and now it's
yeah.
start of next year.
Yeah. So, and I totally understand, like, game development is hard, game development changes all the time, but it's
Yeah.
also just like, I'd rather they make a good game than churn it out. Like, I mean, it makes me really wonder if that game did launch in 2022, what it would have been like.
Yeah. I
It
mean, it's
makes,
better
and
than
then,
the crunches as well that you hear in the gaming industry
mm,
recently, like very unethical to a degree. It definitely like what Lego Star Wars has. Almost every game company sounds like has it
yeah,
now when
like
a
Naughty
game comes
Dog and
out.
stuff.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, by the way, we were working 13-hour days, 7 days a week to make this.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably part of the reason why we haven't got Grand Theft Auto 6 yet, because I remember, I think it was when Red Dead 2 came out, there was all these discussions about 100-hour work weeks and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and all this kind of stuff, and I think I saw an expose or something from Jason Schreier from Bloomberg or whatever a while ago saying that, like, after a year of all the complaints about crunch at Rockstar, they've addressed it, so that's obviously part of the
Yeah.
reason why I think that game has taken so long to come out, because obviously the developers aren't crunching and they're faking their time on it. But it's
Yeah.
also like, we're just never going to see Grand Theft Auto 6 anytime soon while they're still milking GTA 5. So,
Yeah. But
but
with TDU, I think TDU fits the perfect slot for, I would argue, the role play slash no hesi Assetto Corsa mod audience. Like, seeing driving on a highway that's 1-to-1 with indicators and rolling down your windows and everything, that reeks of that Assetto Corsa type audience. I can imagine that audience having a blast with
yeah,
that kind of game. And that's where I mentioned it to Alex 7 as well, and we talked about it. It's that maybe it's just not your game kind of thing, right? It's like a lot of
yeah.
the most industries, racing game industry as well, they will want a game to just be something else. Like and it just
Like
seems
they
like,
want it for everyone, right? And
yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
I think that's one problem with some games where it's like I knew, for example, again, not to sort of keep straying away
Don't worry
from
about it.
TDU,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But like I remember Ghost always trying to cater to every single Need for Speed audience, and it's kind of hard when you have a franchise that's like
Yeah.
just built up of so many different things, right? Of like the Underground series, the Most Wanted series, the Hot Pursuit games, the Pro Street, the Shift games. It's
Yeah.
kind of hard to sort of get that all aligned. So it's like, I think one thing that I really like about TDU and some other games and stuff, right, is like they have a clear focus on what it's going to be, and that's what you're going to get,
Yeah.
right? If you want a test drive unlimited game, you want a game where you can do like luxurious kind of things, you can do this kind of Assetto Corsa kind of no hesi kind of audience stuff, right? That'll get that audience into it. It'll be really good. And I think there's one thing that a lot of other racing games need to start doing is it's just like have that clear vision and just do it. Like I
Mm.
obviously I get you know people complaining not liking this kind of vision, but sometimes you kind of just have to stick to your guns and kind of
Yeah.
do something like that. Like if people want a Need for Speed franchise game, a Need for Speed game, in the franchise that's a lot more dark and gritty, and that's what people are asking for. You need to do it rather than making
Yeah.
unbound, like
Yeah.
happy cartoon characters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing I do like with TDU. Where it's like it's actually focusing on its own thing.
Yeah.
It's not worrying about um coming out like real quickly and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And they're taking their time. They're getting it right. They know that niche audience of it that likes it, like Alex Seven and stuff. They're gonna enjoy it when they get it because it does so many things that they want. They do so. It's gonna do the things that people want right. So.
And the deep rooted criticism for it, where it's actually like, okay, well, this looks bad, and this looks bad, and this looks bad. I think that it's the alpha footage catch out, right? I mean, it's definitely like. It's like when I've criticized the game, I've been like, okay, what I'm criticizing here is the alpha. Like, I'm not saying this is what the game's gonna look like. I'm saying what I'm about to criticize, the graphics or whatever, what I'm about to criticize is the alpha. But because of that, if you zoom out, it's kind of like, well, we can't really have a base opinion on it yet. Just gonna have to wait.
Yeah, like we have to wait to play it, right? And
Yeah.
I think one thing that like. I mean, I've watched those videos and like the screenshots from Alex and stuff. The game doesn't even look that bad.
Yeah,
like, I get those original ones that would be like the half and half concept / screenshot looking pictures that
Some of
when
them
they did those
shocking. Like like the background, the skyscrapers in the background look like out of bounds in old COD maps.
Or like they had I remember there was like some of them inside the lobby and stuff, and you could see like a really like the anti-aliasing on the cars, or like the character models just looking like they were like super stiff, like those sort of what do you call them? Like when companies about to like make a building or something, and they have like a concept picture, and you have like random people in the background, and they just look like looked like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like
it looked so. It looked really poor, right? And I can understand that, but actually seeing the gameplay, seeing the screenshots, alpha screenshots, mind you, doesn't look too bad. I mean, I get to some games when they're in alpha or when they're in beta and stuff don't really improve that drastically, right?
And that's
but
just
I'm
one
sure
of those
it'll
things
look.
We'll have to see that it's like, okay, well, what will they do? Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll look good. So
it's really only
Oh no, I was just gonna say like I think it'll come out looking good. I think it'll be fine, and I think when people play it, that's when they'll change their opinion. Like, I mean, who knows? It could be a situation where people play the game and they just ignore the graphics, but they start complaining about other things, like maybe the handling model or something.
I mean, there'll always be something, right? There will. I mean, like the £70 DLC, there will always be something to bring up, right? It is just that. But from gaming, obviously. This is a podcast for racing games and whatnot, but also I suppose we do come towards the end and discuss actual car stuff. And you mentioned that you did recently get yourself a BRZ, is what you picked yourself up. It did do a brief stint as one of my dream cars, the BRZ. In there somewhere at one point I was like, yeah, I want to get a BRZ. So how's the you and just general cars and whatnot?
Oh, like, do you mean like how I like cars in general, or do you mean like my car at the moment?
I suppose both. You can go to the cars in general and then your car now. How's it?
I mean, it's tough to say. So I've never really had many dream cars, right? Like people ask me, like, "Oh, what's your favorite car?" I'm just like, I don't really know because I like so many different types of cars. It's the same with my taste for most games or for music or movies. I like so many different things that it's so hard to sort of pinpoint one. So if I was to say a dream car I have currently, and you could probably tell what it'll be. It's something that's in the crew. It's in Forza, but it's not in Need for Speed. It's currently it's the Mark V Supra.
How the turntables.
I absolutely love that car. I don't know what it is about it, but there's something about it I just love. But for the BRZ, how that started is I kind of had when Need for Speed 2015 came out, I think that was the first game that it was really in. And if you ever remember like that first reveal of Need for Speed 2015 where they had like going around the car and customizing it and stuff like that, and I think that was just the thing that sort of sold me on the BRZ the most. Just the fact that it's one of these cars where it's like, it's an affordable sports car, but it's also a platform car where I can do so much to it, right?
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason why For the longest time, so I had a Mazda 6. It was like my Twitter picture for the longest time. I love that car, and I still do have it actually, just not at
Yeah.
this house, back at my mom's place. But I used to love that car, and I got to a point this year where I was like, I want something new. I want to, like, while I'm still in my 20s, I want something nice. I want something cool. And the BRZ was the thing that stuck out to me in terms of it's something affordable, but something where it's like it's a mid-range kind of thing. It's a sporty car. It's something affordable, and it's something that I can do a lot of customization to. So that's why I want to learn about doing more car stuff. Literally, the only thing I've done to this car is like, as soon as I bought it, I bought those Valenti taillights, those really cool BRZ sort of taillights that people love to get, right? Um, so I've got that, and um, I've got so many, like I've got like a notes pad and stuff of so many things I want to get. I can see there the
Yeah,
picture.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
The
that's my
BRZ.
car.
And
That's
the
my
Mazda
good.
6 is the sedan looking one. The
Yeah, my Discord. So my Discord picture is what it is. But if you search like a Mazda 6 sedan or something, it's oh no, it's not that
Oh.
one. It's the 2005 one. It's like
Oh.
a 2005 sedan. So you'll
Oh,
probably see.
you know what? It's a dinky looking beauty. It looks of its age, I suppose. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it. That's the one.
yeah,
I do love that car though. It's
yeah,
really cool.
absolutely.
Like, but, I mean, as a first car, right? Like, yeah, you always have a fondness for your first car.
Yeah,
Um, but this BRZ, I don't know, I just love it. Like when I first got it, I was always just going on massive cruises and stuff with some of my mates. Like my mate's got he's got a Golf R, and so we'll
yeah,
go out driving and stuff. One of
yeah.
my other mates also recently bought a 350Z, so we'll go out driving. And I went to a car meet not too long ago, so I made friends with someone who's got like a R34 GTT, and he's
Yeah,
currently away on holidays. But when he gets back, a whole bunch of us are going to go up in car meets and stuff. And it's just like
yeah.
that's part of the thing that I bought the car for. Is like I want to not inclusivity kind of thing, but just more like I want to be able to go and do cool things with cool groups of
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
people.
I get you. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
like go to car meets with a cool car. Like I mean, um, ironically, earlier this week I had someone at work. I take the BLT to work obviously, and
Yeah.
I parked it in the car park, and some guy saw me when I was leaving. He's like, Cory, oh, that's you that owns that car. And he like came and checked it out, and it was like going around the car, and he said how much he loved the blue and loved the tail
Yeah.
lights and that kind of stuff, and asking me these questions, and it just made me feel just like,
It's a
wow,
cool
right?
thing.
Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
such a cool thing, right? And
yeah.
that's why like that it just fills me with so much like joy in terms of seeing like someone loves my car, someone loves that
Mm.
kind of stuff. It makes me feel like the purchase I've made, like it's worth it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Um, and so I've got plenty of plans for what I want to do with that car eventually. Like wheels is definitely one of them. I've been looking at trying to buy side skirts and like a diffuser and that kind of stuff, like the STI body kit, I think it's called for
Yeah.
the BRZ. So I've been looking at getting that. Um, when I will, I don't know, because my next pay will be going towards getting this PC and
Yeah.
starting the current one I'm using. But we'll see. I mean, it's a car where it's like I don't plan on having everything done already, right? Like I plan on,
Yeah.
getting some stuff done, like getting the generic like VLAND headlights, but I have to take the whole bumper off, which I've learned to do that.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna do that, I might install a tow hook, the generic tow hooks,
Yeah.
Japanese car, kind of thing. Um, and
I mean, it
yeah,
would be
so
nice to have like a slow, even if it is a slow burner. Yeah, it's a nice way. It
yeah,
feels more. I would say it definitely
mm,
feels more rewarding to have it be a slow burner than just like
exactly
expendable
right.
capital instantly have big customized car and then it's like, okay, well, what now? I guess I buy another one. Like you've got this
Yeah,
to slowly build up and slowly turn
mm,
into that kind of project car. You can turn it into that RX-7 from Unbound slowly. You can
yeah, yeah.
uh,
And and what I was gonna say too is like, so that photo I put up.
yeah,
So that's from a beach area, a bit further out from where I live. So it's about like a 30-minute sort of drive,
yeah,
and it's one where I have to go through a whole lot of like canyon kind of roads, like a lot of
yeah.
windy roads and stuff. And taking that car through there, just effortlessly around the corners and stuff like that. It just felt fantastic to drive. And
Mm.
funny enough, this weekend as well, I've had to go up north, so that's like an hour drive to go see some family. And I had family members say, "Hey, do you want to just come in our car?" I'm just like, "No, I'm going to take my car because
Yeah.
I want." And
Yeah.
there's so many straight roads, country roads, and I'm just like, I've got it up to speeds I could definitely not share on here, but it's so fun to do. It's such a fun drive. Like maybe I'll probably share one eventually, but I'll just have to cover the photo of what my speed was. But it was such a fun drive, and I had like my playlist playing. I was listening to like some Drive Club music and stuff like that as well. It's just like such a cool thing to have a car like this. Like,
absolutely.
I know I'm gushing too much about it, but it's just like it's generally the one thing in my life right now that I just like. It's like a weekend car, even though it's a daily and stuff, and it's so fun to do stuff. It's just a shame that fuel is so expensive, but
Yeah, I mean it's I get the collective of people with car, right, where it's like, and you mentioned 350 as well. Funnily enough, like one of my mates is also, he's getting a 350 rather soon. Co-host of the podcast, Josh, he's got like a Mazda, not a Mazda, sorry, like a Renault. I think it's a Clio. It's like an old Clio.
Clio RS or
just a generic Clio.
Oh, just a generic.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
He needed like a car before he gets like a better car. And
Fair
he's
enough.
now looking at either getting an Exige, I think it was, or an RX-8. Where it's like he mentioned, it'll be trips to the mechanic simulator, but and my one, which it's a bit out there of one, I suppose, but it's not one of the base ones, I suppose. Like the 350 is just one of those ones. Same with the RX-8. Mine is the RX-7 FC. It's the cheese
the 80s
wedge
one, right?
This
90s.
I'm not too sure.
Yep.
This one, the old doorstop one. This thing's a beauty. I love it. I love it. It was in the Crew 2, and it was just one of the cars that I drove in. It was how my first dream car came about. Similarly to that, it was the Pfister Neon. I was driving the Pfister Neon, and my mate was like, "Oh, you realize that's a real car?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" It was like, "It's a Porsche. It's the first electric Porsche." I was like, "Yeah, all right." And then that just became my dream car for a bit. Then this thing came around with the Crew 2, and now like getting this thing in real life would be pretty goddamn drip. And I completely get what you mean, where it is that like if it was RX-8, 350Z, and this thing, it's cool to have those as like a group of people, you know, like you got that, you got the 350 and the other guy you were mentioning, right? It's just a cool thing, you know, like you've gone from it's a bit of life is what it is, you know. You grow up seeing people with cool cars and you're like, damn, now I'm the guy with I've got the cool car. Damn.
I think it like reminded me of like a TikTok I saw the other day where it's like, you know, you're a kid watching a guy drive past a nice car. Now you're the guy in the nice car watching kids.
Watching
kids.
I saw that.
I was just like, I couldn't stop laughing at that, but it's like it's so true though. It's just like it's so nice when I've driven past people and I've seen people actually stare at my car, even though my car's not actually that special or anything. Like it's a standard sort of BRZ and stuff, but you know, it's cool seeing people stare. It's like I want to try and make my car like an attention-grabbing thing, but not an attention-grabbing thing in like a bad way. Like I'm not going to KSI gold wrap my fucking BRZ or something, but like, you know, do something that sort of stands out. And
give it the
I like
average
getting
Unbound
that look.
body kit, you know, put that on it, make it a Summit edition, you know.
Bumper delete or something. Nah.
Exactly, yeah.
But,
and it's a fun one to do because it is something with a bit of stature, I suppose. Like I mean, with YouTube, I barely, like, I'm definitely not one to, do you even know who I am? Or, like, look, I'm a big YouTuber or whatever. But, I've been on trains before where some guy was talking about, like, crypto or something, and I butted in there. And then, my job came up. And it's something that's nice to be able to talk about where it's, like, it's one of those things where someone's like, oh, you do YouTube? Okay, what's it like? And what's this? What's this like? And what's that like? And whatever. Because... I won't indulge in the I'll join the crew. I'll talk in the crew Discord server, and every now and then you can tell them because they'll have the PlayStation roll, and they'll drop the are you the real SidWaj? And that it's sweet, but that's the kind of side of it where it's like, I'm kind of just a guy. I'm kind of just chilling. I'm kind of just,
Yeah.
I'm a regular here. I talk in this server, you know.
Yeah.
But when it's actually just talking to someone like in a conversation that was already going on, someone you're already having a discussion with, and then something like that comes up, it's nice to have one of those things that is that kind of like thing to talk about, which YouTube is, which I can imagine a BRZ, especially decked out, eye-catching, definitely would be, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's always quite nice. Like I was talking with some people at work, and it's like, you know, they asked me about like my interest in cars and stuff like that, and then like, so I work in like a company where like an IT, and I work with a whole bunch of graduates and stuff, and it's always quite funny where it's like, you know, they'll find out like eventually when they follow my Instagram or they see my Twitter somehow, and they just go, wait, so you like do this stuff for Need for Speed and you do all this kind of stuff, and they were just like, whoa, what the fuck? And like I'll tell them a bit about it and stuff, and like I don't treat it as anything different. Like I'm just like a normal guy, really.
That's the thing, yeah. I just treat it so much like a job as well that it's just like like, oh yeah, that's what I do for work. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's just like people asking me this kind of stuff, and they're like, "Wow, that's so cool! You can do this." And like some of my mates will like message me and say, "Hey, do you get a code for FIFA? Do you want? Can you give me your FIFA code?" I'm just like, no, it doesn't work quite like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, nah.
I remember since the giveaway got announced, my DM requests are a mixture of the thing I sent you, the like just people being like, "Oh my god, SidWaj, I really love your stuff," and that's always really nice. And then it's like, "Hey SidWaj, your stuff's really cool. Could you buy me the game? could I have a copy of the game, please?"
Oh, I've had people like that before in my DM saying like, "Hey, can you add this car to the game?" I'm just like, you know, I don't actually make the game, right? I just post about Need for Speed.
Yeah. That's always a fun one. That when they'll just assume you have just this
a million
power
codes or
exactly,
something like that. Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely still, by all regards, a small content creator. Especially
we're both
relatively
really.
speaking. Niches in our own spaces, most definitely, right? And it's still nice that it's at a thing that honestly I get most like, oh, that's kind of cool out of it. Like when my girlfriend gets like she won't often bring it up, but like if someone asks her, she'll be like, oh yeah, he does YouTube, and then they'll check. And when she's able to be when someone's like to her, oh my god, he does this, that's where I can be like, oh, that's sweet, yeah, that's kind of cool. I know my mum goes around bragging about it everywhere, so it's like I get more like, oh, that's a cool thing out of that than I do going around being like, did you know I'm a YouTuber? Right? Like,
yeah, like going to flaunt it around. It's like when people find out about it naturally, it's like, whoa, why aren't you flaunting about it, kind of thing, right? Like people, like, you know, people will ask me, like, I remember like going on a date with someone once, and they're like looking at my profile, and I said, oh wait, so you know like this YouTuber guy? It's like, what's he doing? I'm just like, oh, you know, I just kind of like do articles and kind of stuff, and it's like, but you went to like Germany and all that kind of stuff. You got to go here, and it's just like, yeah. And I just downplay his thing, and they go, oh, that's so cool. It's so incredible. Like I was just like, you know, I'm just a normal person, right? It's like, cool, I've had some cool experiences, right? But it doesn't define who I am.
Exactly. It really just comes down to it. It comes down to that. In my place as well, especially because I just treat it like work. Outside of it, I mean, recently what I'll do is I'll whack out the I work in advertising. If I'm in if I'm in a taxi and I don't want them to know where I live or whatever, I'll whack out the just work in advertising. I just do advertising. It's under Google. It's AdSense. I work on that. You know, I've gotten rather good at literally just explaining YouTuber. But it sounds like it's an actual like a
marketing thing.
Yeah, so I aid in production, and I aid in production of media used to put Google AdSense ads on. That's really all it is. I just work in advertising, which is just a YouTuber, but it's good when it comes down to that. And it is a bit of a whatever. It's a cool thing, but it's like at the end of the day, it's nice to not relish in it, to not sit in it, and I imagine, even in your case, you know, you could go around going like, well, Need for Speed knows me, actually. Did you know I know Black Panther? Like, it's like, It's like
I just tell them, no, I just work in IT, yeah.
Exactly.
But I do stuff on the side.
Yeah, and it's a cool thing. It's a nice thing to do, and it's cool. Especially now you got the BRZ. You can show that good talking points, good things to conversation starters, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
so nowadays people get, instead of being tired of hearing about my trips to Germany, they're getting more tired about seeing my car. So
yeah, that's how it is. There you go. Now you're the BRZ man. But I think unless there's much else to bring up, I mean, there's stuff in the general car. I mean, I feel like I've kept you way too long. I feel bad. It's definitely...
No, it's fine, man. I do have work in the morning, but it's fine.
I've definitely kept you too long. I apologize. It's because we're so unfortunate times. It's the worst it could possibly be.
I mean, it's already taken us like 2-3 weeks to do this. Like, first week I was sick. Other week I had to go away, so I was like,
on the main podcast episodes, I've been like, okay, guys, this week is the guest. Got it for this week. But yeah, I mean, I've already kept you too long, so I can't even say I don't want to keep you too long. So I believe that is most of everything to talk about on this episode of the Stick Drift podcast. Of course, Cory's links will be in the description. I suppose I can link your Instagram, Twitter, and the Nobeds, Twitter and whatnot, I suppose. Cory Johnston, lead writer at the Nobeds, the man behind it and whatnot. Thank you for joining me on the Stick Drift podcast.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me.
You can plug yourself out if you like. Yeah.
I don't really have much to plug, but I guess just follow me on Twitter, X, whatever. You obviously can find us on the Nobeds. I'm sure you'll find me in some more videos of Theo's sometime soon when the crew comes out.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do some videos and stuff too.
Absolutely.
But,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for so much for having me. Sorry it's taken so long for to get a guest on here.
Yeah,
but
there you go. It was an hour per week delay. There you go. It was that's where it was made up.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't even worry about it though. Alright, that's about it though. Catch the episode this coming week in a bit.